crying, you're crying. Let me say that one more time. Eli and I aren't crying, you're the ones crying. Sean's last words as a host on LFA TV. Catch you on the flip side. What a way to go out. And ladies and gentlemen, you are locked and loaded right here, rumble.com/LFATV. This is Live from America. And I am your ever so humbled, God-fearing host of the show, Jeremy Harrell, the hip-hop patriot. And as always, broadcasting from the Hawkeye State of Iowa, maybe someday Congressman. We all have new doors we're walking through and new seasons we're in. Let me introduce to you Producer Eli. How are we doing this morning?
Everywhere I look, I see his face. That sucks. But anyway, Sean, Brennan, we're going to miss you. You guys were awesome. You were a staple of this place. You were a pillar. You helped build it. LFA TV is today what it is, thankfully because of you two. I got nothing but great things to say about you and best wishes for the future. Hit that Rumble button, hit that share button. It's Friday, it's my favorite day of the week. We need to get to the weekend so we can party and have some fun and enjoy America. Let's go, baby.
Moose for Trump is in the building. How we doing? CJR Taz, how you doing? Sherry and Wayne Davis. Thank you for being here this morning. Amanda Collins, Jay Deeds, MJ Randall, B.A. Palumbo, Ant Lob, Miguel Ortiz, DeCluse, Rita, Majogo, good morning. Patty and DC Nice, Khaki Danny, XX Machine, Janmar, Barb Naylor, Deb. Barb, by the way, all the presents that I got, including from you, I'm waiting until Sunday to open. But don't worry, I will video them so that everybody can see the great presents that you gave. Bushy is in the live chat. Kim is here. How are you? MDUSMC, Piglet, Gloria in the live chat. AA Ron Broski. We've got, man, this chat's going fast. Lucy and Dottie, how are you? CQ in the live chat. Bumblebee Patriot. Dave, Dolly Diva is here. Did I say Erica Falconberry? JMC Feeders 2020. Lucy is here. Kim is in the building. C. Michaels, how are you? Good to see you. Man, so many of you. Great to see you. Carmen, God bless. Thank you for being here as well. Fins Up is in the live chat. Go Blue. Big Mac is here. William, how you doing? MGD2 is in the live chat. Bubby is here. Seffi is here. Look, it looks like everybody came out for Sean's last day, and I am so grateful for all of you. Bashful Ninja, kicking off the fundraiser Friday. Well, thank you so very much. This is I appreciate that fundraiser. I mean, tell you what, LFAT has always been, since the start, since me and Sean and Eli and Mike Crispy and Kevin and Frankie, since we started this here, it's always been a viewer-funded network. And Fridays are our fundraisers. So for those who are not regular every month donors, a lot of people get in and do the Friday fundraising. It helps LFATV reach new heights. There's always going to be new voices coming in and old voices leaving, making a way for new voices, which I think is a good thing. Echo Bella, $10 donation on this fundraiser Friday, says you guys rock. I'll tell you what, everybody here rocks, literally. LFA TV, the people that are here, the people that have been here in the past, and the people that will be here in the future. It's nice to make way for some new voices sometimes, and especially with people doing different things in their political careers and in their fight to save America and to keep this constitutional republic going. And so I'm in talks with a lot of people. There's a lot of people that want to broadcast here on LFA TV. Over the last 5 years, you guys have really made a name. And everybody knows it, whether they love it or hate it. Everybody knows it. And, you brought us to the White House. You brought us to such heights. So we're going to be making room for new names. And I can't wait for that. Eli and I were just talking, again, about how great would have been. And I know we talked about it yesterday. Thank you, Raz and me. Mwah. Love you too. Eli, I know we talked about it yesterday. But how poetic would it have been had Crispy been able to go back to a daily show and, Sean bows out, says, catch you on the flip side. And then the next day, Crispy's back in his hour at 10 o'clock where he used to be. Because remember, when he left, Sean moved. That's when we moved things around. But it would have been poetic. Maybe someday. Who knows? But there are some good voices coming.
Just imagine that. We've only been able to play the recording for the past couple years, but Mike comes on. Yes, baby. All right, let's go. What's up, Frankie?
Unbelievable.
That would have been.
Let's go, baby.
Yes,
Yes, Frankie.
that would have been great. Cat lover and ant lob. Happy birthday weekend, Jeremy. Well, that's another thing I wanted to get to. It is my Sunday's my birthday. What a better day to have a birthday on, huh? And so many people have already donated so much this morning, Eli. Bounds just said, may God go with you. I've enjoyed you in the path. Oh, that's for Sean. Okay. That was from before. So Deb has her 68th birthday today, actually, as well. So happy birthday to you, Deb. Happy birthday to all the Leos out there. Sunday's my birthday, and 2 days before that is the day that we say goodbye to Sean. So it's like, it's a little bittersweet, to have that happen. But I am so excited for him. I'm so excited for Mike Crispy and what he's about to do in his private and political and personal life. I'm excited for November to come so we can get through these midterms and we can get on to the next presidential election and I can run for office too. So thank you for all the birthday wishes. Thank you for all of the love that you gave Sean and Brennan over the years. Thank you for all the love you've given all the hosts here. And hey, let's take this thing into the future, right? Who knows where it goes from here? Big shout out to Dan Bongino, his crew. Big shout out to everybody over there that makes that happen. And hopefully their voice continues to get bigger as well. And we continue to keep doing the same thing, saving America. You might have your outlook on how that is done. I might have my outlook on how that is done. Somebody over on YouTube might have their outlook on how that is done. But one thing is for certain, we all want to make the country great. We all want to continue advancing in this country, to continue to make it the greatest place for our kids to grow up in. I might not agree with everything that you say, and you might not agree with everything that I say, but if we can find that sweet spot, well, that's when America's doing its best. And that is making America great again. Getting back to a point, I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to start the show out with this, and I'm going to finish with this. I want to get back to a point where this on your screen right now is not the case. They want what we're doing right now on the top of that screen. Because they, and we're talking about the bureaucrat, the deep state, the swamp, the uniparty on both sides, the people that have got their power entrenched into the fabric of this country. Because they fear what's going on the bottom. And I remember a day where maybe not everybody, but a majority of the country was what you see on the bottom of that picture right there. It's me, says Jeremy. I see your daughter Lily being one of the next speakers. She's great on Patriot Pals. I think Lily would be great if she did this when she grew up. I think it would be absolutely great. Aaron says, if someone doesn't agree with what you're saying, you mute them. You're here, aren't you? You're here, aren't you? If somebody gets muted out of this chat, it isn't because they want this down here. It's because they're constantly trying to do this up here. That's why you get muted out of the chat, which clearly you're here. So maybe we start acting a little bit more like this, myself included, and a little less like this up here. I'm not saying not to point out differences. I'm not saying to show the risks of what each side wants. But if we can get closer back to this down here, I think that'll suit the country the best. I think that's making America great again. So, having said that, LFATV.us, as you know, that is our official website here at LFA TV, LFATV.us. One more time, LFATV.us. And if you want to follow us on X, it's LFATVUS. If you want to follow us on Facebook, it's also, it's LFATV, not LFATVUS. Diane and Pat, LFA is blessed. $50 Friday fundraiser. Happy birthday, Jeremy. Use the money where's needed. Thank you very much. Dave says he lears a lot from this channel. Thanks, Dave. Seriously, Diane and Pat, thank you very much. It is so kind to have you guys value this network and the people of this network and what we've been trying to do over the last 5 years. And, all of us could have quit. You guys could have quit being involved. You guys could have gotten fatigued like a lot of the complacent people that are in and around your communities and used to be, in our audiences and stuff. You guys could have gotten lazy and you didn't. Eli could have said, you know what, this job is too much. It's too crazy. I'm going to go back and manage, be an executive manager or something like that of some office. I could have went back into the field of advertising, marketing, and sales. Any one of us could have quit over the last 5 years. Every one of us definitely would have been justified in doing so after 2020. But we didn't. We stayed and we kept going. We kept getting up every day. We kept the fight going no matter how bad it was, no matter how much we experienced ups or downs, and here we are today. President Trump is back in office. He's been there for a little over a year and a half. We got 2.5 years left to go, so let's make the best of it. Okay? All right. We're going to start with this today. What's that saying? Eli, do you know how it goes? It's like weak times create strong men create safe times create weak men create a weak country. Isn't that something how it goes? Or you've heard that before, right?
Oh yeah, it goes something like that.
Yeah. So at what point do you think we're at right now, chat? At what point do you think in that saying, which I probably butchered, at which point do you think we're at that right now? Eli, what do you got?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to find the right one, and I did find it. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times.
There you go. So what point do you think we're at right now? I think we're at the time where strong men are having to stand up again. Thank you, J.A. Fish. Been watching for almost 6 years. Use where is needed. Amen. And you've also done some really great artwork for me too, which is in the studio. So I thank you very much. I still have that clay golden Trump head sitting right over there on that pedestal as well. We're in the hard times right now. We need strong men to stand back up. The problem is that there's been something that's blocking that from happening. And that is whether they're fear of being canceled, fear of being targeted, doxxed, fear of, being called, bigot or this, that, and the other. Sooner or later, strong men have to stand up. DC Drano, Rogan O'Hanley, posted this clip earlier. So I reposted it as well. And what you're about to see is this individual in a restaurant with a scarf on. He has been being disorderly to the point where the people of the restaurant said enough is enough and physically removed him from this restaurant. This is what we need.
Biggest guy in the room needs to protect me. The only guy in the room needs to protect me because I can't defend myself. It's okay, guys. I'm throwing away, guys. God help me!
And that's what we need to see more of. Stop waiting for one of those guidance counselors to come down from the local police station. Stop having to get police involved every time it's not necessary to get them involved. They didn't touch that guy. They picked up the chair he was sitting on, and they physically removed him out of that restaurant. You want to be disorderly, you want to be consistently disorderly, you want to ruin it for everyone else, like a lot of people in this world do today. They just want to ruin it for literally everyone else. then real men are going to remove you from the situation. And you're seeing more and more of this. Now, what we don't want to have happen is, all-out brawls and that turn into riots in the street. That's obviously what you want to try to avoid. So what did they do? 5 or 6 of them got around him, picked up the chair, and brought him out. Now, if he started swinging, if he started throwing hands or something, they would have easily been able to subdue him. There was 5 or 6 of them around him. It would have been easy. It would have been painless. Get out. You're not welcome here anymore. You can't just continue to cause a ruckus in a place and expect it. I can do whatever I want. I'm wearing a Palestinian scarf. I'm saying the right things that need to be said. You people live under some white supremacy outlook on life. You've got this white supremacy skewed view on the way life is. And it's like, no, everybody's pretty much normal in life. I don't care where your politics are. Most people are normal. People are sick of this stuff. They're not going to take this anymore. And they're going to take matters into their own hands. And guess what? That crazy mob is going to be overruled, outnumbered, and dealt with by people in the communities. And so, good to see that. But it's not only strong men who are standing up; it's strong women as well. Check this out. This is America, actually. Happy Friday.
Confrontation outside of an East Side Ross store was caught on camera and posted to social media.
The video is raising serious questions about what customers and workers should do if they witness shoplifting.
13 News reporter Ariana Ariza has more on that video and what police are saying about it.
Video of this dangerous encounter has left many people shocked. You can even hear the shock in the voice of the witness who captured this whole encounter on a video. Now, experts are advising people to not intervene if they see someone they suspect is shoplifting.
Oh my God, what the hell is going on?
As you can see, the witness captures a suspected shoplifter walking away from the Ross storefront with multiple bags. In the background, the store's alarm is blaring. That's when a bystander walks up to the suspect, pulling out what appears to be a handgun in an attempt to stop them. I asked Tucson police about this video. They confirmed that they are using this video as evidence for an active shoplifting investigation. They said that when police arrived on scene, the suspect was already gone. No arrest has been made. And since this is still an ongoing investigation, they cannot further comment. So I reached out to a criminal defense attorney, Louis Fidel, to learn more about the legalities of this situation.
It really depends on the details, but there is a statute that authorizes people to display or use a firearm to prevent certain crimes. Shoplifting is not one of those crimes.
Fidel says anyone who points a gun in this scenario risks being charged with aggravated assault with the deadly weapon. He says introducing a firearm into a property crime is incredibly dangerous, putting the public, the bystander, and the risk of death over retail items. But what are employees trained to do?
Large corporations and most of the small ones have told their employees do not engage. Their lives and their safety is more important to us than the product.
Almer says violence against loss prevention is on the rise, and if a customer intervenes, the situation can become more dangerous. She says stopping customers from playing hero has recently become a much bigger challenge, stressing that retail stores are packed with surveillance cameras, meaning shoplifters, especially repeat offenders, are already being tracked on high-definition video. But if you see something, let a worker know. I did reach out to Ross for comment, but they have not yet responded. But despite this scary situation, TPD was able to share some good data. They say that property crimes, including theft and shoplifting, has actually been down 2.9% compared to this time last year and down over 20% within the past 5. Reporting from downtown Tucson, Ariana Ariza, 13 News.
I disagree. I think what that woman did is fine. When crime gets out of control, right now, President Trump, in only a year and a half, has our murder rate at an all-time low. Never been as low as it is right now, the homicide rate. Do you remember the shoplifting during the Biden years? Do you remember the smash and grab stores? Do you remember those teen takeovers that are still kind of happening right now? But they would just, remember how bad how much CVS had to lock up, how much Walgreens would have to lock up, how much the local pharmacies, the local convenience stores would have to lock up, how much Walmart would have to lock up in certain cities. Do you remember that? Everything up to deodorant was behind glass cases, and you wonder why prices rise. And you wonder why prices rise. You know, it's so incredible how when people look at, like, let's say, grocery prices or retail prices go up, the first thing they do is, oh, it's the tariffs, it's the tariffs, it's the tariffs, with zero proof that that was passed on down to the consumer. Zero proof. Absolute zero proof. As a matter of fact, there was an undercover employee who worked at Walmart 2 years ago and was saying Walmart is still buying this stuff at bulk for the same exact cost. For the same exact cost. And when they resell it, they're pumping up the prices because they're using things like the tariffs as excuse to do it. Same way that Exxon and Chevron are using the Iran conflict to price gouge. Do you know that Chevron and Mobil just had record-setting quarters? How's that possible? Thank you, Shelley. Appreciate the $10 donation. We are so very grateful for you. God bless. How is it possible that these oil and gas companies just showed record-setting quarters? Literally 12 times what they got a couple years ago in their records, like in their profits combined. How is that possible? How's that possible when I thought that oil was just so hard to get and supply was so hard to get? It's possible because these people use scenarios and situations, blame it on that while they're pocketing billions and billions and billions of dollars. And the only criticism that I have on somebody like President Trump is I would make that DOJ go after them in a way like you've never seen before. In a way like you've never seen before. Do you know how many businesses have decided to come back and invest their manufacturing into the United States because of tariffs? Now, I know this isn't the economic and financial section of the show. That's a little later. We'll talk about that later. But since we were talking about shoplifting and prices, kind of went off on a little tangent there. Anyway, I applaud what that young lady or that old lady did. And do you think she really cares? Do you think she thinks that some judge is going to actually put her in jail for that? I don't think so. All right. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Columbus said, Chevron and Mobil just showed about $26 billion in profits. I do blame the oil companies for the high prices. There you go. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. In Jesus' name, we pray amen. Yep. You know, when people argue about that, argue about tariffs and stuff like that, they have no idea. They have no idea about Apple just saying we're going to put another $1 billion into manufacturing into the United States. They have no idea about Hyundai and Honda, who have thwarted their plans to build manufacturing plants in Mexico, in South America, and built them here instead. They don't even care that 70 plus million people that have 401ks are extremely profitable right now in their 401ks. They don't care about all the great economic stuff that's going on over here. They care about gas being even lower than it was under Biden's time. Ugh. Oh, but Joe Biden, he left President Trump with an inflation rate of only like 3%, and then it went up, and now it's back down. Well, guess what? Trump left Biden with a 2.4 inflation rate, and it went to 9.6. So spare me your violin, cheese, and wine. You don't know the half of it. Can't even pass that civics test. Unreal. Anyway, I want to thank our first sponsor of today, and that's OFP Farms. You guys know and love OFP Farms. Won't keep you long. But guess what? It wouldn't take long to order either. It wouldn't take long to order, especially with 16 days left of this 15% off your entire order sale. OFPfarms.com, using promo code LFA for pretty much every item on the website. There might be some items that it doesn't fall under, but for the most part, it's there. Now, not only are their products beautiful, not only are their products literally some of the best you've ever had, maybe the best, but they also do gift packages as well, like gift boxing sets, especially around holidays. And they do these awesome little, holiday packaging and sales and the whole theme. So, OFPfarms.com for all your farm-crafted goat milk and tallow skincare. Shop OFPfarms.com using promo code LFA to get your 15% off today. Thank you, Denise and Corey. Let's have our first slurp and let's get right to it, shall we? Patriot Johnson, Eli says, OFP Farms, a Muslim-free zone.
I like that. Sorry, you probably caught me chuckling a little bit earlier there, Jeremy. You're getting a little bit of Christopher Walken in you when you say the Lord's Prayer. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us.
Our Father, who art in heaven. Hey, I wouldn't mind hearing Christopher Walken do the Lord's Prayer. That might sound pretty cool. All right. We're going to get to the first and foremost section. Again, thank you for all the donations on this Fundraiser Friday. Here we go. Vandals, thugs, criminals. Thugs have vandalized the Washington, D.C. World War II Memorial. Now, look, I get it if you want to vandalize a Thomas Jefferson or a Abraham Lincoln statue or a George Washington statue because they own slaves. You know, I can understand you doing that, even though I think it's the most repulsive, sick, stupid, and idiotic thing that you can do, especially living in this country that you claim to hate on stolen land that you won't leave, right? But when you vandalize the World War II Memorial, of which I've been to many times, I stood at the World War II Memorial while they honored what is left of our World War II vets. 90-something-year-old men, 100-something-year-old men in wheelchairs, barely able to move, sitting there in their uniforms, Army, Navy, Marine, Air Force, all there. And you do this to them? For what? For what? Ridding the world of Nazis? Becoming the most powerful country ever to exist? And freeing other countries from similar tyranny? This is what you do? And this is what I'm talking about. This low-level crime that might not seem like when you're talking on the scale of murder and this stuff like that, I get it. But the abundance of this destroys communities. And it's the most disrespectful thing you could ever possibly do to a World War II memorial. Leftist scumbags have now turned their attention to attacking the greatest generation after they damaged the Lincoln reflecting pool because President Trump hurt their feelings. As NBC News reported, the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C. was vandalized yesterday with bubbly soap and graffiti containing a very nasty message to the military. Per the outlet, the memorial fountain bubbled over with suds and complete loser-painted words like clean hands, dirty money on its surfaces. The area was also splattered with red and green paint. Eli, this is from people who are probably similar in age of the people who were signing up to go across the ocean, get off those boats, and take a bullet to their head. That's what our youth was doing at that time. That is what our 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22-year-old men were doing at this time. Now they're running around like thugs with no parenting, no belts, no fathers, and graffiti is there, and knocking people out and destroying people's businesses. That's what they do today. Imagine.
You're partially right, bro. actually some of those kids back in the day were 15, 16, 17, lying
That's
about
true.
their age just so they could get in the
That's
into
true.
the military because they were so patriotic and wanted to defend their country.
That's absolutely true. Per NBC, plainclothes investigator bent over and measured the damage with the tape measure. National Park Police told the Washington Post that workers later arrived to remove the graffiti, a claim confirmed by photos. The Interior Department, which oversees the National Park Service, vowed zero tolerance and commitment to finding the person or persons responsible for doing this. Then, after that, it was said that there was some chemicals that were dangerous to the public. They were also released there. So, I don't know what to say. Here's what President Trump said about it. He did respond via True Social. He said, "Our beautiful World War II memorial was just hit by spray paint vandals." It was actually not only spray paint, folks. It was later found out that there was actual, chemicals that were risky to the public that also sprayed onto the World War II memorial. There can be no greater insult to those American heroes who died in World War II. First, the reflecting pool, now this. We are on their trail. Where do these animals come from? President Trump. They come from the society that we all live in. They come from a childhood of no discipline, mostly broken homes. Doesn't matter what color they are. You know, when the mother of my two children and I split up, my worst fear, having children, knowing the divorce rate in the country. I was 28 years old when I had my first kid, and my worst fear was that me and their mother would someday not be together, and that they would have to be those kids in the school with divorced parents. And then that day came where they were going to school with parents that were split. And what I realized was they were actually in the majority by a lot. When I grew up, most parents were still together. There was a few kids that were there with divorced families. But when my kids grew up, they were the majority by like 70 to 30%. So, broken homes, for sure. Lack of discipline, absolutely. No belt, absolutely. And then, of course, as they go through school, and their teachers, their guidance counselors, their principals, and their superintendents actually affirm their behavior. And there's even less discipline in a public setting. That's the problem. And social media. Here's Fox's reporting on it as well.
People fought and died for our country, and it's dishonoring this country and all we've been through. And I came here to pay respect to those who fought for our country before I did.
And the way that it has been working is the National Guard will be in neighborhoods and safe places near the big sites like the White House so that the local police can go out and do more effective crime fighting. This is something President Trump talks about all the time at all different kinds of events. They are not going anywhere. Back to you.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right, Peter.
It's called success. Thanks, Peter.
Fountains.
You know what? Another thing too. It's also because of for 4 years there was 0 arrests and 0 accountability. When those animals were climbing on statues, pulling them down, spray painting all over them, spray painting obscenities all over them, bad words all over them so kids that were walking by would see them. You know what I mean? Doing like spray painting lewd acts on them as well, ripping off the heads of the statues, knocking them completely over. For 4 years, the people that are doing this now, who were probably young teens at that time, watched that happen with 0 accountability. And then they went out there and did it. And now they're doing it even more. Bumblebee said, Jeremy, didn't Janine just drop the charges on the people that damaging the reflecting pool? I have some news on that, actually. We're actually going to get to that here in a second. I actually have that pulled up. Judge Janine, in an extremely rare move, has now convened a special grand jury after the clash with President Trump over the reflecting pool case, where he brought her in and showed her all the video footage and said, what is this? They're literally cutting the bottom of the reflecting pool. Here is the video from multiple angles. What is that? Not vandalism? What about these people, the algae crew, that were there every day dumping chemicals into the pool to try to make algae speed up? Was that all fake? We have video footage of it. And now, U.S. Attorney for D.C. Janine Pirro, in a rare move, switches course and convenes a special grand jury to investigate all that went down there with that vandalism. So that's a rare move, folks. We didn't expect her to switch course like that and do that. But that's what she's done. And the decision to convene the grand jury comes after President Trump and Janine Pirro clashed over the U.S. Attorney's move to drop the Lincoln reflecting pool criminal cases. Now, in her, what she said was, there are other things, because we are so limited on resources because of hiring lawsuits and firing lawsuits and not being able to nominate, confirm people into these positions. We just don't have the resources to go after everything. Right now, we should probably go after X, Y, and Z. I don't believe that. The government always has unlimited resources. Hire out if you have to. Hire temporary if you have to while you're waiting for these people on these lawsuits to go through. Because the left is always going to try to stop President Trump's agenda. So if limiting the resources that his cabinet members or the people that he gets confirmed need, well, then that's hurting him as well. They'll never stop. Like I said, there's already been hundreds of lawsuits in a year and a half, and it's constant. Attorneys general are constantly. And you know what? They lose almost every one. They literally lose almost every single one. But what is that, 4 months of court, 3 months of court, suspending things that need to be done? It's sick. But at least she has reversed course, and at least she's doing the right thing now. But should have done it from the very beginning. No mercy on these people under the law of the land. Mercy under God, but not under the law of the land. World War II Memorial, are you guys serious? What won't you do? What won't you do? You want to go burn down the White House too, like the French? What do you want to do? You want to burn down the entire system? You want to burn down the capitalist boogeyman system that has made it possible for you to even say you want to burn it all down? Like, where do you think this ends? You think you just destroy? Are you like the Islamic faith, where you just think destroying everything and making everything look like a toilet bowl and then living forever in that kind of life? Do you think that is going to be good? Eli, where does it end for these people? They live in some kind of utopia fantasy land where they think that anarchy and destruction, because they're not getting what they want, is okay and it's going to be great.
Because we've had the scumbag Democrats for the past 5 or 6 years. Get out there, get in their faces, tell them they not welcome here. I want to go out and punch a Republican. Now, I might have missed the part of the story, Jeremy. Were these people identified and caught? Tell me that.
Who, the people that did this to the World War II Memorial?
Yeah.
No, they're looking for them now. They're trying to find out who they are now. They were masked up, and I'm sure the video footage of them is. And that's another thing. Grainy video footage. How come they don't have? Why is there not like 8K video footage? By the way, the British, not the French, burning down the White House. I think I misspoke. Did I say French? Did I say British or French?
I don't know, but you made the point I was just about to make. I'm so sick and tired of this crap. We share pictures and videos of Mars, and look at this speck of dust in 816K that we found. But to this day, every time we catch a criminal in the act with a camera, it looks like a camera, a VHS videotape from the 80s.
I know.
Or a flip phone video from the 90s with a maximum of 4 pixels. I don't understand this.
I know.
Where are all these great cameras that iPhone and Samsung and all these other companies, the greatest cameras in the world, they're the greatest cameras in the world, except when it comes to catching criminals.
Yeah. Weird, isn't it, that just the other day, I saw these new pictures from Mars. I'm not, just like 2 days ago, I saw, this new look from Mars Land Rover 1. And it's like doing this like rotating 360-degree view of Mars. And I'm like, wow, that looks like I just took out my Samsung and recorded something right in my house. But yet, we drop calls everywhere. We can't get any good video footage. The video footage of the potential DNC and RNC bomber was about the grainiest thing you've ever seen in your life. Like, is that what only they give us? Do they have the clear copies, the clear footage, and they only give us the grainy? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me, ever.
It's got to be something like that, dude. That's why... I'm sorry, I have a real hard time. The older I've gotten, especially like with the moon landing, the more I've researched on it. Technically, there's supposed to be some radioactive belt that we sent people through in like a popcorn tinfoil container, and then they traveled almost 300,000 miles to the moon. They picked up the phone. Hey, Mr. President, hey, how's it going? No drop call. No delay in the service, but I could call my wife from this room to the next room, and the call will drop. Make it make sense.
Yeah, when the more I look at the moon landing, like, I know we're going off on a weave here, and this is a completely different conspiracy theory conversation, but the more I look at that footage of the thing landing, it looks like the 1960s Batman show with what was his name? What was the guy's name who played Batman?
Oh, it was the great Adam West.
Yeah, it reminded me. You guys remember when Adam West played Batman and the shark was on his leg and the helicopter was, and he's trying to kick the shark off? The way the janky movement was, that's what it reminded me of. And it would make sense that it was, look, I'm not going to say they did or they didn't. How about that? I'm not going to say they did or they didn't. But I will say the footage that we were allowed to see was definitely not that, dude.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. And people are making great points in the comments right now. If these friggin' flock cameras are supposed to be so friggin' great, and get a crystal clear 4K Dolby Digital surround sound somehow picture of your license plate, let's use those to catch criminals, shall we?
Yeah. Can we use the flock cameras where criminals are doing criminal things? Can we put the flock cameras there? Maybe not the flock cameras so much on the roads, but maybe on the national monuments and the high crime trafficked areas like inner cities, on pharmacies and, those places. Anyway, so at least that's going on. Now, another thing that's going on in D.C., the Department of Justice is fired back after the D.C. Council demands that governors from 10 states to pull their National Guard from the nation's capital. Quote, your politically motivated letter is impotent. The radical crime-loving leftists on the D.C. Council just tried to pull a fast one, but the Department of Justice wasn't having any of it. I'd like to thank Jedi Legend Ryu, who donated the $20. Who was the one who was filming and the land and the leave? The camera was the first one on the moon. Well, yeah. Yeah. And not only that, I know we're trying to read news here, but not only that, when it left, Eli, you've used the camera before, right? At political events and stuff. And I've always said to you, Eli, like we were at Trump rallies, I said, pan the crowd. Pan the crowd, right? Pan out as you're panning around to get the crowd. And then as you zoom back into President Trump, pan back to President Trump and zoom back in. So you're doing two things at once. You're moving the camera and you're zooming out, or you're moving the camera and you're zooming in. That also requires you to move the camera up and down in some cases, if you move that camera in any variation trying to get the crowd. So when that thing left, Eli, if you watch that video, it literally pans up and zooms out. Not like it's going away, like it's zoomed out before it started going away. So, like I said, I'm not here to say whether they did or didn't land on the moon, but the video that we saw just seems a little Adam Westy to me.
I mean, you got to give it to him, Stanley Kubrick was one of the greatest directors we ever... Oops, I just say that.
Getting back to the D.C. Council. In an outrageous and frankly sick move, the D.C. City Council sent 10 letters to 10 state governors demanding that they pull their brave National Guard members out of our nation's capital. After President Trump stepped in and saved their failing, crime-ridden city, those local Democrats now want to kick out the very heroes that are keeping the streets safe. The streets of Washington, D.C. had developed into a absolutely third world war zone with the criminal teenagers that were taking over that city under the local Democrat leadership there, before President Trump declared a national crime emergency in August of 2025 to bring law and order back to the streets. In a scorching letter, Assistant Attorney General Colin M. McDonald of the Office of the Deputy General unloaded on the council, accusing them of ignorance of the historic public safety strides made in our nation's capital, while showing callousness instead of compassion and care toward their constituents, who live in the city with far less violence and far less fear, thanks to the National Guard and the D.C. Safe and Beautiful Task Force. Quote, "Let me be clear, your council has no power to demand that governments remove their brave men and women from serving in uniform in our nation's capital. Your politically motivated letter is impotent theatrics, not worth the paper that it's written on. And D.C. is a much safer place, no matter what you say, because you refuse to speak the truth about the life-preserving work of the task force. The truth will speak for itself," McDonald wrote. He didn't stop there either. He threw their own hypocrisy right back in their faces, reminding them that just a couple years ago, D.C. council member Trayon White was literally begging for the National Guard to step in because the city was, in his words, a war zone. So President Trump did just that and did what he said he was going to do, and the results spoke for themselves. You should withdraw your letter and dedicate your remaining time in public service to correcting D.C.'s laws to ensure criminals are punished and the public is protected, not the other way around. Does anybody here live in D.C.? Anybody in the live chat, do you live in D.C.? If you live in D.C. and you're in the live chat, or if you live in the D.C. area and you're close to D.C., whether it's Virginia, Maryland, or anywhere near D.C., can you confirm what D.C. looked like prior to the National Guard and what it looks like now? And is there a difference? Fur Grizzly said, "I want to get me a pair of them ice shock gloves. I actually reached out to the company yesterday for a sponsorship opportunity. I said, everybody in my audience wants your shock gloves. Can we do some business?" So I'll let you know how that turns out. That'd be great. What a sponsor, huh? So let's see. Back to the question. If anybody lives in the D.C. area, what did it look like before and after? because I hadn't been to D.C. since producer Eli and I went to the White House, but we were literally in and out. We didn't stay. So I hadn't been to D.C. since January 6th before that. Sass says, I wouldn't live there rent-free. Dunn laughed and said, you couldn't pay me enough to live there. Now you know why I said when I first announced to you guys that I was running for Congress. That was the part of me that didn't. I said, that's the part of me that I don't want to have. I don't want to live there. You know what I mean? At any months out of the year, let alone 5 months out of the year, 6 months, whatever it is they live. C. Ward, yep, lived there, can't stand it. Sadly, his term is up in January. I don't know who you guys are talking about. I would buy a pair of those gloves. Anybody live in the area there? I live in Virginia and went back to D.C. a few years ago. Homeless everywhere. Mermaid Mill says she grew up there, but she's going back there the last week of August. So I haven't seen anybody talk about dirty streets, very unsafe, said Emro growing up. Taurus says, I live near there and it was literally full of rats. Is it not full of rats now? I was born in D.C., says J.A. Fish. Lived there for 22 years. Mary said, I saw you and Eli there in D.C. trying to get your truck. Oh, you remember that? Now, I just had that truck for like a month when we did that, Eli. And that's still the truck I have today, the Trump truck. Yep. Boy, that was a weird situation, wasn't it? Remember that? Remember how, like, much of a hassle it was for us to get our truck out of there? And all of a sudden, they were shutting down all those streets? And there was nobody around, and then that guy just came out of nowhere and said, hey, you guys trying to get your truck? And we're like, yeah. And he's like, the New Hampshire plates, black one? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, come on. The only guy in sight at that moment. It was the weirdest thing, Eli.
You know, maybe I'm remembering it wrong now, too, but didn't that seem a little odd now, just thinking about it?
It did.
'Cause when we were getting the truck, nothing was happening at the Capitol, but weren't they, like, shutting down? Like, and we were like, why are you guys shutting down this, that, and the... And then when we were on our way out, we were just as confused, listening to the radio, like, what the hell's going on? And cops flying by us, and we looked behind us, and we finally heard on the radio what was going on, but were they starting to shut things down before anything happened?
Yes, they did. No, B-Hops, not black New Hampshire license plates, black truck with New Hampshire license plate. Yeah, so what producer Eli is explaining is this is what happened. So there was massive crowds in the streets. Massive crowds. I mean, you couldn't, they were shutting down streets. There was, Eli, remember that was when we looked down from where we were trying to get the truck and that street was flooded and they had that massive American flag that they were pulling with that truck that was like, I don't know, it was longer than a block. It was the biggest flag I'd ever seen in my life. So producer Eli and I get to the truck. Everything's boarded up. Nothing had happened at the Capitol yet, but everything was boarded up. They were literally shutting down businesses. Any businesses with cages or bars on them, they were pulling them down. They were boarding up. They had already boarded up. By the time we got to where our truck was, they had already boarded up. So producer Eli and I were out there for 3 hours. We got there at like 6 a.m. or something like that. We left well before the breach of the Capitol. And when we got to where my truck was, there had not been a breach yet. But everybody was putting plywood over their windows and doors. And it had already, majority of it had already been done. There were some people still doing it, but a majority of it had already been done. And where we had my truck was also already boarded up. And we're like, what the hell is going on? Like, why are all these businesses boarded up? Why are all these businesses completely shut down, desolate? There was nobody where we were. Nobody on the streets. Now you could look down the block towards the Capitol in that direction, and you could see other streets because, you know, it's a grid area there. You could see all these streets that were completely packed with people. But where we were, there was nobody. Absolutely nobody. And every building was shut down, closed, plywood over the windows, plywood over the doors. We just assumed that they were doing that because they knew there were going to be millions of people in D.C. I'm not sure. But then this guy comes out of nowhere. For those who've never heard the story, this guy comes out of nowhere, just walking across the street. He had a black coat on, like he looked like he I don't know, worked at parking cars or something. It looked like almost like a black valet coat. And he just comes across the street. He's got his hands in his jacket, comes walking across the street. We're the only three in the 2-block radius. And he goes, "Hey guys, what's going on?" And we're like, "We've been trying to get our truck for the last 40 minutes, but this place is locked down. This place is completely shut up. It's locked down." We called the business owner, Eli, remember? We called the manager of the place. They were sending somebody out. They said it was going to take like a half hour for them to get there to open it back up so we could get our vehicle out. They wouldn't give us any explanation why it was closed. And this guy just comes roaming across the street and says, "Hey guys, you trying to get your vehicle?" And we're like, "Yeah, actually, we are." And he's like, "Oh, black truck, New Hampshire plates?" "Yeah." "Oh, okay, come here." Walks over there, undoes the gate, the bars that were over it, unlocks the door, puts a code in, it lifts up. My truck's parked right there, but there's also a garage full of cars. So, don't know how I have no idea to this day, Eli, thinking about it now again, how he knew who we were or what truck we want, and still have no idea why all those businesses were boarded up before the Capitol was even breached.
Yeah, that guy was a mystery man. I'm now starting to think he might very well have been our guardian angel. New Hampshire plates, black truck.
Yep.
Yes, exactly that.
Yeah. And Eli, remember when they were locking everybody in their hotels? They literally were kidnapping people. They wouldn't let anybody out of the hotel. Remember that Marriott? There was people in the lobby. You could tell they were all there for that because they all had MAGA hats on. And the police came and locked them in. We were on the outside already. We were walking by, and they were screaming and hitting on the windows to let them out. And they literally locked them inside. It was the weirdest thing that I'd ever seen. Anyway, a little trip down January 6th memory lane, talking about D.C. And it was the Marriott. It was the Marriott that did that. After that, Eli, I canceled my membership with Marriott and started going to Hilton after that. Remember?
Uh-huh. Yep. Scummy traitors.
Yamain says he was your guardian angel. He must have been something. It was the weirdest thing. Just came out of nowhere. Thank God he did, though. All right. We're going to move on to some good news. A court of international trade has upheld President Trump's authority to shut down the 800 de minimis tariff loophole. Giant pipeline for Chinese junk, fentanyl, and tariff cheats crushed. This is a pretty interesting story, so let's get into it. A 3-judge panel rules that an emergency law allows President Trump to suspend duty-free treatment exploited by foreign shippers. President Trump scored a major legal victory yesterday when the United States Court of International Trade upheld his authority to close the duty-free de minimis loophole for low-value foreign shipments. Trump immediately celebrated the ruling on Truth Social, saying, "A big win today at the U.S. Court of International Trade on one of the most despicable loopholes in American trade policy." Now, remember, we also just reported for you yesterday that President Trump's trade deficit for the United States of America, he's cut it in half. CNBC couldn't believe it. They were like, this was highly unexpected. Cut down by half, 50%. Nobody's been able to do that. And they're attributing it to tariffs. That's what they're attributing it to. They're attributing that 50% reduction in trade deficit all due to the tariffs. So it's nice that they're finally starting to kick in, huh? The so-called de minimis exemption. For years, foreign shippers could send packages worth up to $800 into our country. Duty-free, no tariff, far less scrutiny. It became a giant loophole for tariff cheats and a pipeline exploited by fentanyl traffickers, counterfeiters, and other criminals shipping dangerous and illegal products into the United States of America. With the stroke of my mighty pen, no auto pen, he says, we ended this ridiculous giveaway. The importers sued. Today, they lost. The court ruled that the president had the legal authority to rescind this so-called privilege. And celebrating that win that's actually pretty big, because now they can't fly in under the radar with this stuff. A.A. Ron Broski says, China is asshole. Yeah, exactly. The de minimis rule codified at 19 U.S.C. 1321, for all of those who want to go look it up, that's 19 U.S. Code 1321, originally allowed the Treasury Secretary to admit tiny shipments duty-free because collecting the tax wasn't worth the cost. Congress later jacked the threshold all the way up to $800. What started as an administrative convenience became a massive abuse. Chinese e-commerce giants like Temu and Shein, counterfeiters, and drug traffickers poured hundreds of millions of packages into the United States with minimal scrutiny. That's over. How do you like that, China? How do you like that, China? Love it. It's always some good news when we get a Supreme Court win. Now this, 199-year-old Supreme Court ruling could hand President Trump unlimited power going into the end of the summer? What? In 1827, the Supreme Court settled a quick question most Americans had never thought to ask. Who decides when America is in a state of insurrection? Who decides that? Their answer? The authority belongs exclusively to the president, and his decision is, quote, conclusive. You know that thing they say, what's that? Be careful what you wish for, because it might just come back on you. Remember when they said, what goes around comes around? Remember when they said, what's that saying? FAFO? In other words, we don't need a vote from Congress. We don't need a sign-off from a judge. One man, Donald Trump, could overrule every branch of the government, including the all-powerful deep state. Now, it sounds a little impossible, but history shows, and President Trump loves going back to history. History shows that you can. Meanwhile, his rivals are gearing up for a fight. Democrat attorneys general say they'll attack President Trump in court if he dares to use this power. But Jim Rickards, a former advisor to 4 presidents, the CIA, and the Pentagon, says they will soon find out they're wasting their breath. History shows that he's absolutely right, because the age-old ruling behind Trump's actions has never been overturned. It could all come to a head within weeks. This summer, this fall. It could tip American politics and even the financial system into a meltdown, unlike we've seen in a century. Now, we know that President Trump wants to completely tear down the IRS system and give the money back to the people. We know he is absolutely running after people like China who are buying up United States property, people like BlackRock who are buying up United States property and jacking up that cost. I think a lot of people don't understand that the reason why the housing market is the way it is, it's simply supply and demand. That's why the housing market looks the way it does. That's why it feels unattainable, because it's simple supply and demand. When you bring in 20 million people into this country and they need places to live, that's supply and demand. When BlackRock and China are buying up property, when big companies like Vanguard are buying up property, and then they're hiking the prices up, well, then the comps in the area also have to raise their prices. So your house might not be worth as much as it is on paper, because it's paper profit. But there's a reason why the housing market is the way it is, and it didn't start under Trump, and it didn't start under Biden. It started long ago when these major companies were able to come in, swoop in, and buy up land and either build or buy up housing units and literally inflate the cost of them. That's the big culprit. The more people understand real estate, the more they understand what these big banks are doing, the more they'll understand why there's a need to rein it in and that they're at fault. The gas companies, the oil companies, the bank companies, these guys are the ones that are ultimately at fault. Policy can only do so much. Presidential policy can only do so much. But when you live in a capitalist free market like we live in, these people have a lot of power. And President Trump should have the right to rein it in, and I think he's going to be doing something soon. Okay? JV said interest rates on mortgages are at an all-time low. Well, they're not at an all-time low, but they are getting lower. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about interest rates. Look, do you guys remember the tech bubble, the billionaire tech bubble of the early 2000s? That bubble ended up bursting, and a lot of people ended up losing everything. While some people made billions, a lot of people ended up losing everything. And then the housing market, remember that? 2008, 2010? That ended up bursting because of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and what they were doing, trying to give everybody and their brother a house. That ended up bursting. These bubbles in history, if you look back, they all come to a bursting point. You know where we are right now? Right now we are in the AI technology bubble. And that is going to burst at some point. So, you know, the housing market probably getting back to that point as well pretty soon. JV said, I saw 5.68 for a 30-year mortgage. It is lower than it has been in a while. No, absolutely. No, the mortgage rates are looking good. And if the Fed ends up cutting, what is it, next month? Is it September or October? I think it's September. If the Fed ends up cutting rates, it'll be a great thing. If the Fed raises rates, it'll be a bad thing for the consumer, for us. Okay? All right, we've got another federal appeals court massive win for President Trump. Since it's Friday, I figured we'd, be able to share some good news today. A federal appeals court yesterday delivered a huge win for President Trump in a key Alien Enemies Act lawsuit. The en banc panel of the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, say that 5 times fast, a decision from the court's entire slate of judges ruled that a key lawsuit is moot because 3 men who brought the case have already been deported. I'm going to quote this here. I'm going to read the quote for you. The Supreme Court remanded this case to us when the 3 named petitioners were still in the country. But we have since learned that the government has removed them. Given this change, we conclude the appeal is moot, the judges wrote. Given the lack of any named petitioner to whom we grant relief in this appeal, and given that this case is never and does not now feature any class, we conclude that the appeal is moot. We therefore dismiss the appeal for lack of jurisdiction, the judges wrote. So, too bad, so sad. If you were here, there might be a lawsuit to move forward. But since President Trump and the DHS figured out, let's just deport these people and they have no standing. Again, Eli, there's that no standing thing again, right? Coming back to bite them in the butt again. Remember when 30 or 40 of those 60 cases that went in front of judges for the 2020 election appeal, 40 of them were completely dismissed because of no standing. But that left 20 that were dismissed on some merits, but not the full merits of the case. I've been brushing up on that, by the way. I want to know every judge who dismissed it on merit, and I want to know every judge who dismissed it on standing. Because they'll tell you over 60 court cases were thrown out, and some of them were from Trump judges. Yeah, there was only one Trump judge that threw it out based on limited merit. Because, and you want to know what that limited merit was? In all of these cases, that they don't know if what they were bringing would have changed the scope of the election. So meaning, well, we're going to dismiss it on this merit, that we don't think what you're bringing to us is going to change the scope of the actual election, change the count. So we're going to dismiss it on that. That's pretty crazy. And they wouldn't even take all of the information, all of the evidence. So you had 40 that said no standing, see you later. And then you had 20 that said we dismissed it on merit. And in most of those cases, it probably wouldn't have flipped the vote. So, let's just ignore the fraud regardless, because we don't think it would have flipped the vote. I'd like to thank BJ Clevenger, 22. Happy birthday, Jeremy. I can't chat a lot due to work, but I never miss your show. Love your heart and your patriotism. Please use where needed with a major $50 donation. Thank you very much, BJ. God bless you. Gonna have a great birthday this week and this weekend, and I hope you have a great weekend too. So God bless and have a good Sunday and have a good time with your family this weekend. Thank you so very much. So, no standing, no jurisdiction. How's it feel? Gotta love it. Would you like to get into another big win? You are probably heard, and I'm sure Adam will bring this up to me when we debate, that all of Trump's alternate slate of electors, that tried to give an alternate slate of electors, that they all broke the law and that they were all illegal in doing so. It's not true. And the last judge just dismissed, I believe actually there's one more. I believe Wisconsin has one more. But every judge has dismissed the case against all alternate slate of electors. Do you want to know why? Because when these alternate slate of electors put up their electors and sent their electors to D.C., their slate of electors to D.C., all of it contained language that could not prosecute them. None of them were doing it in a malicious, felonious way. They were sending an option to preserve after litigation was done. Let me say that one more time for all those in the back. The alternate slate of electors in every state that was sent, all charges have been dropped on all of them but one in Wisconsin, and we expect that to be dropped as well. Because the language in which these slate of electors put into their submission to go to D.C. was, this is for a preserved option for litigation to take place. If litigation takes place and we find out, which litigation never took place, but if it does, if it went back to the states and the states got to litigate it, and at least we would have another slate of electors ready at that time. And because they put that language in, there was no intent of mischief. So for all of you on the left that thought that that was some big illegal move that they should be in jail for, I got a little, another one bites the dust for you, okay? Another one bites the dust. You just can't beat it, can you? You're just never right, are ya? All cases drop but one. And I believe that's in Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken, and that'll be dropped soon, too. Good job on those alternate slate of electors. Now, do those alternate slate of electors have authority to send a slate of electors to D.C. to be chosen from over the authorized slate of electors? No, they do not have that authority. They were not trying to use said authority that they didn't have. They were not trying to claim said authority that they don't have. They don't have the authority over the proper and official electors of every state. But what they were doing was sending it as the people of that state for a preserved option afterwards. So litigation never happened. They weren't found to be doing anything in a nefarious way. They weren't trying to overtake those slate of electors, and they put that language in their submission, and so all cases have been dropped but one. So we got some breaking news. Eli, we got some breaking news. You said, has anybody been arrested for the vandalism that took place at the World War II monument? And we've got breaking news. Lady by the name of Melissa L. Ferris has been taken into custody and arrested for the vandalism of the World War II monument. Eli, ask and ye shall receive. DeCluse says yes, she's an old white libtard lesbian. Go figure. Go figure. It's almost like we couldn't have called that one, huh? Melissa L. Ferris, Eli, she has been arrested for the vandalism of the World War II monument. What a good Friday, huh?
beautiful. Now something damn well better happen. An arrest is good. Let's get a conviction of some
Yes,
type.
let's get some jail time, some restitution, maybe some back-breaking work on the side of an interstate, picking up trash or something. Humiliate her, right? Maybe a little humiliation is what these people need. Awesome news. Great news. M. Rose says F-A-F-O. Let's bring up that Rumble chat so that the Rumble family can, well, sound off. I like to see what you guys have to say. Here we go. She probably didn't think she'd get caught. F-A-F-O, female dog. We'll just say that. She looks like a nag. L-O-L-A-A. Eli, get her picture, send it over to us so we can put it up, can you? How many others? Oh, I'm sure there'll be others. Give her the full 10 years. Absolutely. Make it happen. Confiscate her depends. Cut off her arms, says DeCluse. Wow. You're really going back to Leviticus days, huh? Piro says up to 10 years in prison. Oh, that would be so great. Of course, it's up to a judge or jury. Well, up to a judge, actually, to sentence the full 10 years. But Bushy53 said her family should be proud of her stupidity. So glad she was arrested. Show a pic of her if you have it. We'll bring it up for you. Consequences need to be the norm. Yes, because if consequences is the norm, then it stops people from doing this stuff. That's why we want fraud found, okay? Maybe those judges in some of those cases were right. Maybe there wouldn't be enough with the evidence that they saw to overturn an election. But should that matter? Should it? Because where it doesn't in one state, it might have in another. But should that matter? Shouldn't we want to get rid of, like the 6 million names that have been, removed from the voter rolls because of Tom Fitton? Shouldn't we want that to happen? I don't understand why. Well, it wouldn't have changed the outcome of the election anyway. Would it have changed the outcome of the election if it was in every state? Eli, did you send that email?
I'm still looking for the picture right now. When I raised my hand, I was agreeing with somebody in the chat. I wonder if this is one of the scumbags who's probably carried Muslim paraphernalia and Free Palestine and all that crap. And if so, maybe somebody in there was right and one hand should be cut off. That's their form of punishment, and that's what she's advocating for.
Yeah, that's not a bad point. That's not a bad point. Let's see if we can find that real quick. It should be pretty easy to find. It's probably on social media quicker than anything. Did you get it? I bet she looks exactly like she was described as well. Jeremy's suggestion, have a segment on Tuesday called Civic Test Tuesday. Maybe 10 minutes, just a thought. Yeah, maybe. Maybe I'll do that. I did put out that civics test video already. Let's just see here real quick. I'm going to try to bring this woman up on the screen. Eli, got it? Okay. Thank you very much. All right, when I get this picture over here, I'll put it up. Somebody said that she was what'd they say? She was a old white libtard lesbian. An old white libtard lesbian. Okay, here we go. We got it. All right. I can't wait to see what this looks like. I'm gonna have to download them. Okay. Would have been just as easy to get the link. That's her right there. All right. All right, folks. Give me 1 second here. Sorry we had to do that in real time. Here she is. This is seems to be the best picture we have of her. And there she is right there. She looks like she's got a tube on her back. Not a tuba, a tube, for those listening on audio. There's one picture of her, spray painting it. Who knows what she's got in that tube on her back. And then we got another picture of her, a little bit more of a close-up picture of her. This looks like a selfie picture. Oh, yeah, that's it. Yep. Now it makes sense. Now it makes sense. Here she is, guys. Here's a better picture of her. Now it makes sense. From the hippie generation. There she is. He is. Looks like Gary Busey. Looks like Gary Busey in a pair of sunglasses. Wonder if she's got those big old teeth. There she is. Good. 10 years. 10 years, that person will be dead, more than likely. Of course it is. No life. Just wandering around, fighting the boogeyman. Wow. Good job, Gary Busey. Gary Busey's dead, right, Eli?
No, he's very much still alive.
Is he?
And coming apart a little more every day.
Is he really still alive? Dang. Anyway, everybody, I want to read some of the comments here. That's a man. Baseball at the kneecaps. There it is, as predicted. TDS billboard. Why does she look like Nick Nolte? That's true too. Eli, you gotta Eli, pull that back up. Yes.
There's a good picture of Gary Busey right there.
Yep, there you go. Put some sunglasses on that guy. That's him. That's her. Exactly. They all look the same. It's a shim. So it's a dude? No, I don't know. It's a woman. We're just saying it looks like a dude. Diane says, it's Pat. He has man calves. Oh, my goodness. He had some rough things happen to him. Gary Busey, yeah, he sure did. He sure did. So there was the breaking news. They caught her. And coming off the news of the electors, right? That's always good news. What's her tattoo? I don't know what her tattoo is. Mermaid Mills says civics test, like the Bible quiz. Amen. Somebody said Marjorie Taylor Greene.
You know, they actually gave a nickname to Gary Busey. Scary Busey. That's what we ought to call her.
There you go. That's Scary Busey. That's Scary Spice. All right, I'm going to collect myself here and grab another cup of coffee, and we'll be right back after this message from Rise Up Coffee, baby. Let's get to it.
In the long history of the world, the struggle to survive has been a constant. The human spirit has been frequently tested. Every man has had his own struggle. Every man has made sacrifices. And every man has been pushed beyond their limits. Survival is crucial. The desire to be prepared has never wavered. Generations that came before us realized the importance of gaining every advantage. How you face adversity could change your life. Success depends on it. History is defined by it. Our spirit is fueled by it. Our strength comes in many forms. The strength to fight, the strength to overcome, the strength to believe, the strength to win, the strength to rise. Rise Up Coffee. Rise up to meet your challenge.
JeremyHerald.com or LFATV.us. Hey, before we actually, what I want to go to right now is Candace Owens is having that debate with with Andrew Wilson right now. I want to go to that, if you guys don't mind, just for a minute. I want to go to this debate between Candace and Andrew. Check out the direction it's going in, because there was some news yesterday that actually pertains to this, okay? And the news that we got yesterday was that Tyler Robinson's attorneys are asking the court to or they're requesting anyway to have the death penalty removed. So my question is this. If your attorneys are asking the court and petitioning the court to take into consideration maybe removing the death penalty punishment part of it, then they would probably plan on pleading guilty at this point. So if your own lawyers are petitioning for the court, requesting them to take it into consideration to remove the death penalty portion of the punishment if they were to be found guilty, then what does that tell you? Does that make you think that they're guilty or innocent? Now, this is hosted and moderated by Patrick Bet David. Let's go to that now.
I will say that if we start debating that, you'll be way over my head.
But yes.
But my point being is just that, first, it's a general sense of why people had a reaction to these messages that seemed like they were written by Jane Austen rather than like a kid who games and writes catch
Yeah, but do you
fastest.
see how that's intuition?
That is. I am. I just said that. I said just parking aside the intuition of just something feels wrong here, which you should follow your intuition. You should actually do that. If you say the COVID vaccine is running out, feels like it's coming out too fast, and there's too many celebrities telling me to do it, I'd like to take a pause. That's good. That is, you are allowed to do that. I believe in intuition.
But hang on. Let me respond a little bit here because you've been going for a minute. Let me at least respond to a little bit of this. So the first thing is like when people bring up the COVID vaccine, not trusting the COVID vaccine en masse was the science. That wasn't just intuition. That was the science. There was tons of competing science. Now, they tried to suppress it. That's true. But there was tons of competing science for why you shouldn't take a risky mRNA vaccine and masks and things like this.
Kept telling us was 100%.
Now, when you're talking about intuition, though, when you say trust your intuition, I'm actually giving a different message. You actually should be very wary about trusting just your intuition. It is true that intuition can be useful, but it has to be tempered with logic, reason, explanatory power, and evidence, not just intuition.
That's why we're parking it aside. Intuition is the first step. Something feels off, right?
Okay.
That was my first step with COVID. I don't like the way it's being pushed. It shouldn't require a celebrity campaign, by the way. Another element of that is why people don't feel good about the Charlie thing. Why do we have so many influencers saying things? It's over. Why are you guys all using the same adjective? Can you switch it up? I'm overwhelmed. Like, chill. Like, you could say, I found some
kind
parts
of like
compelling. I think this should go. I found some parts compelling. Maybe we should, see at the trial. That would be kind of.
Don't you think Fed slop's a buzzword for the counter industry?
But everyone on the same day of watching this trial, which was, I would say, not overwhelming at all. Nobody came in medium, right? No one came in like there were some interesting aspects. This was a little suspect. But I do think it's enough to go to trial. They all came in like they were passing away and we're going to die from being overwhelmed.
Well, they're trusting their intuition.
Okay. Well, actually, in that scenario, they're looking at the preliminary hearing and have a reaction to it. It wasn't their intuition. But like I said, parking aside, just getting to the substance, parking that aside, aside just a general intuition that sometimes might be second messages. Then we look at the filings, which came from the defense, and they were requesting an extension saying, we have gone to the prosecution and we have requested all of this stuff in discovery. Yes, you are saying that you took Lance's phone, okay, and that you collected his phone on September 11th and that you sent it off or whatever. You took a picture of the text messages and we are being given these text messages to review. Crucially, Kathy Nestor said, I have not even been given access to my client's phone during this hearing. She said, I haven't even been given access to my client's phone. She can't tell you, as a part of their discovery request, it's not enough to say to me, Candace, I just got a text message from Candace, and I say, I didn't send that text message. Maybe that's what her client's saying. We don't know because we're not at the trial, right? Maybe he didn't send those messages. Could there be someone who logged into his Discord? Could there be someone who logged in to his Apple? George could be sending text messages right now. We are married. He has every login that I have. And remember, he's up for a death sentence. So if I'm able to sow reasonable doubt with common sense, he may come during the trial and when they actually have to address these points, say, I did not write those messages. I was here. Lance, my boyfriend, was logged into my phone, logged into my Apple ID and my iCloud sending messages. I know that we have the capability because my husband does it. He has the capability to send messages from my phone. It is not convincing to the public when, for whatever reason, the FBI combined with the SBI, it was not the prosecution's fault. They made that clear during that hearing, would not allow them that discovery request to be able to see where did that message come from? Because you're saying my client was here, right? I want to know if that message actually was generated from his iPhone when he was waiting to retrieve his rifle, hoping that the pooch doesn't have a bad sniffer, like just weird messages. I want to make sure that, yes, it was actually him. He was holding his phone, and his boyfriend didn't just log in to his computer when he was home. Lance was his boyfriend. That is a crucial fact here. That discovery was not met by the time I got to preliminary hearing. So I remain unconvinced by these text messages. Just as you feel convinced by them, I feel unconvinced by them.
Okay. So then the idea here is the reason that you don't think that these are valid text messages, and you don't, right?
It has not been proven that these messages are valid, and they don't sound valid to me. I don't think anyone, even if someone was selling like a, I don't know, pot on the corner, would be smarter than to write a full-fledged confession. He even writes, I thought I would get away with it, and I was hoping never to tell you until old age. And then we're being told that he wanted to commit suicide. And okay, but he just said he wanted to get away with it, but he's not smart enough to, I don't know, maybe not text it's such a confession like we've never seen. I think this would be like the first time ever somebody has start to finish written an entire, I'm in this surveillance footage and I'm here and I'm wearing my Converse. You know, I'm being a little facetious here, but it was a little ridiculous. It didn't pass a sniff test for me.
You have kids. And you love them more than anything.
I do.
If it was the case that you thought that your kid was innocent, wouldn't you be out telling everybody and their brother that you thought that they were innocent? And also, wouldn't you maybe recant and say, hey, he didn't actually confess to me. He didn't actually. None of this happened the way that the state is presenting it. What would have prevented the parents from testifying?
Well, two things. I can answer that. And if you watch my show, I keep telling you it's not vibes. So right after the shooting happened, Lance Twiggs, the FBI put him into a safe house they paid for. They went to the parents as well, to Matt Robinson and Amber, basically said, your life's at risk. There could be somebody who jumps up and wants to avenge Charlie Kirk. And, we're going to watch you. And they went into a federal safe house. What happened next is that they started thinking that the feds were maybe gonna, maybe not as honest as they thought. And
how do you know any of that?
So you gotta watch the show, right?
Yeah, no. How do you know that?
I had a source within the Robinson family.
You have a source, an anonymous source, of course. So there's no way for us to verify that what you're saying right now is actually even true.
Do you find it to be reliable hearsay?
No, I don't find it to be reliable at all. It's just a source.
I'm just doing what the prosecution
What you're doing
did.
is a cool story.
It's not cool. Well, you must have hated watching the preliminary hearing.
You're giving us a cool story. You're saying that according to your sources, that the reason that the parents haven't recanted any of this.
Recanted what? They have no statement from the parents.
Wait, I just want to make sure that if it was the case, it was being reported in mainstream media that your father came to you and said, hey, is this you? What's going on here? And then he and one of his buddies took you in where you turned yourself in. You wouldn't go out and be like, no, that's not what happened.
That isn't what happened, though. You're just wrong on this.
Okay. Maybe I'm paraphrasing. What am I wrong on?
So what is sorry, just so I'm clear, where is your evidence that the parents turned him in?
Well, no. I didn't say that.
You said there's the mainstream media?
I said with a sheriff friend.
Yes.
But the father did confront him.
The father confronted what?
Tyler Robinson.
And where did you learn this? That the Tyler confronted him?
That's part of the official documents. Our fact checkers can pull that up. But yes.
But I'm saying, when you say official documents, do you mean you saw this on CNN or you saw this play out in the hearing?
No, this was one of the things that I went through and fact check pre-debate.
Are you talking about the charging documents?
I think it was it could have been in the charging documents, but we can pull them up.
No.
And yes, are you disputing this?
Do we have that on the back to pull it up?
I can already tell you what you're talking about, the charging documents.
I can't wait to see this.
Because this is where we had to figure out where this story came from, because everyone was operating under the assumption that Matt Robinson turned him in. Until we got to the preliminary hearing and we understood, like I said, even for that, when you are charging someone, you can use hearsay. It's all probative, right?
Sure.
Nothing. So they didn't have statements. It's not like Matt Robinson, even though he was interviewed that night. Amber Robinson was interviewed that night by a Fed, separate rooms. Tyler Robinson was interviewed by a Fed. They did not produce statements saying, my son did this. I believe my son did this. But what happened was they did interviews. But also the crucial person here who you just brought up is Mike Mitchell. Mike Mitchell is the biggest unknown in this entire case. Everyone keeps saying they heard from Mike Mitchell this, they heard from Mike Mitchell that. So when the person wrote up the report that night, and it was Brian Davis who wrote up what became the charging document, he after they transported.
We're gonna turn it off right after this. I just want to see that fact check come back. I want to see if Andrew was right on that fact check, and then we'll move on.
4 a.m. in the morning, I got up there. He then writes the what becomes a charging document. So he's basically saying, we all spoke to a bunch of people and here's the information that we got, right? We've not seen that. So it could have come from Mike Mitchell. Mike Mitchell could be saying,
I don't know how this negates the point, though.
Why wouldn't truly negates the point, because you don't have a statement from the parents.
Yeah,
you are going.
Why wouldn't they just correct the
it's not correcting.
misinformation?
That doesn't negate the point. The point is that we now got the preliminary hearing. If the parents were the ones who said, I'm turning my son in because he's guilty.
I didn't say they turned him in.
I think you're talking about the over. You said it's been the narrative. Everybody's known this. The narrative initially, which I think you agree with, was that, Matt Robinson knew his kid was guilty and turned him into the police station. What actually happened in terms of Sheriff Brooksby, who was present there and gave a press conference, what happened was this Mike Mitchell character essentially peer pressured him, and we can get a fact check on this. We can find Sheriff Brooksby's press conference, and he said, they know it's you and you're going to come in peaceably, or people are going to be banging down your door. He was a undercover cop, which I don't like that. I don't know what he did undercover. It's very hard to find anything about Mike Mitchell, but he worked with them for 20 plus years, the police officers. The reason why Tyler Robinson knew him was because he lived nearby and he was also his Boy Scout leader.
How does this negate that the parents could write this second? And by the way, if you had the evidence,
I'm going to address that point. I'm just saying that your first point, which is that the parents did this.
Yeah.
We don't know that the parents.
I didn't say that they did ever. It never happened.
You're quoting the parents as having said. You said that Matt Robinson said that his kid was. Did you say involved? I don't want to misquote you.
Confronted him about
confronted him.
Yes.
And I'm telling you that we have not seen any evidence that is true.
We can fact check that.
Okay.
Because we do have evidence that
and I'm saying it's the charging doc, which could have been derived from a statement Mike Mitchell said.
Two things I have ready in the back. One is the charging doc, and the other one is the video of Kathy Nestor saying she hasn't seen Tyler's phone.
Okay, we can run Kathy to go back, and then just to go backwards to Kathy first in court saying she didn't get her client's phone. Yeah, and then I think we'll go to the. If you're okay with that,
a thing not in dispute. These are all things that are not even disputing.
Okay, so we don't have to show it.
We never get to the thing that I am disputing.
Well, I was just providing an answer. We were coming back in from a break because you were talking about the text messages as something that you felt was concrete. So it was just my rebuttal to you that it's not concrete because they haven't had a chance to actually answer that. And she didn't even get to see your client's phone. So that's effectively, again, the state saying these messages are real. You don't get the discovery on these messages just yet. She will during trial. They will actually get discovery on the messages.
Don't you think that would make their case fall apart if it was the case that they weren't able to actually pull the data off the text messages? Do you think the prosecution would go to court with fabricated text messages?
It's called winners and losers. They may not be fabricated, but by the way, as what they are saying, like I said, if there was somebody logged into his phone, they may not be fabricated. That's the point.
So let's get to the
they just could be somebody else.
The parents fact check.
So I believe what you're talking about was derived from the charging doc, which was signed off by Brian Davis.
All right, well, let's see.
Let's pull it up.
Let's see if that's correct.
This is what I wanted to see.
What are we looking at
Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, I'm sorry.
Can you zoom in a little bit?
Is this the charging doc?
I can't see it. Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, he agreed that it looked like their son. He also believed that the rifle that police suspected the shooter used matched the rifle that was given to his son as a gift. As a result, Robinson's father contacted his son and asked him to send a photo of the rifle, which makes sense with the text messages. Robinson did not respond. However, Robinson's father spoke on the phone with Robinson. Robinson implied he planned to take his own life. Robinson's parents were able to convince him to meet at their home.
Yes. So this is proving my point. This is from the charging document, correct? Yeah. So what I'm saying to you is that 3 people got interviewed on that night. Mike Mitchell got interviewed, Amber Robinson got interviewed, and Matt Robinson got interviewed. Of the 3 of them, only one of them actually wrote a statement, which was referred to in this.
You know what's crazy about all this is that I get why they're doing this. I do, because there's so many people out there who are just lawyers and prosecutors and on social media. I do get why they're doing this, but none of this matters. None of it matters. In the long scheme of things, Andrew's fans are going to think he won a debate. Candace's fans are going to think she won a debate, but none of it actually matters to Charlie. None of it matters to Charlie's kids. None of it's going to matter in court. What does matter is that the news report of Tyler Robinson's attorneys asking to get rid of the death penalty as part of the punishment, that matters. That's news. And that happened. So who's right there? Doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what goes on in court. I thought they were going to have a debate over the way that Candace was flipping the script and turning it all towards Erica and ultimately Erica's kids in the long run, because they're the ones that get affected by it. I thought that was going to be the debate, you know, not whether or not Tyler Robinson is or isn't guilty. I assumed that would have come up, obviously, because that's the centrifuge to everything. But again, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter who wins that debate at all. It's just debates like this, online debates like this, they're just for consumption. They're just for you to grab your phone and either like it or not like it, share it or don't share it, comment your thoughts on it or don't comment. And then guess what? A week later, it never happened. It's gone. It's done. It's over. What does matter is making sure that the things that you're working on daily and the things that you're spending your time on daily are going to advance whatever your agenda is. Our agenda was getting President Trump back in the White House. We had to fight assassination attempts. We had to fight the full weight of the federal government coming down on him. We had to fight all the times that he was in court and they tried to put him in prison. We had to fight lawsuits. We had to fight everything, and we got him back there. That mattered, and look it, we did it. We won. And we didn't do that by debating our way there, did we? We did it by getting on the ground, running for offices, and doing all of that stuff. So, in the end, what they're doing doesn't matter. But I pray for the both of them. Wisconsin election update. Remember the sticks? Guys, remember the thumb drives? At least one of the 5 human errors in Milwaukee Democrat primary has been caught on camera. So that's good. The city of Milwaukee has faced rightful criticism of how they conducted the 2026 Democrat primary on Tuesday. There was a discrepancy with 5 out of 9 of the high-speed central of the this is the actual name of them. ES&S DS950 high-speed central scanners when election workers allegedly exported audit logs instead of the results, leaving Wisconsin wondering who would be the gubernatorial candidate for the Democrats. Now, you remember when this came in, even to MS Now, still weird saying that, but even when it came into MS Now, they were like, the guy was like, what the heck, what's going on here? Like, what are we dealing with here? How are we not getting the results of the election? And what's going to happen from now until the time that we do? And how long is that going to be? Like, even they were flabbergasted by, like, what happened? And they didn't exactly know what to say. And the worst part about it was they didn't exactly know what to ask, because they thought that by asking certain things, that would leave them open to some kind of liable to a lawsuit or something, because they said something about the election that wasn't true. Francesca Hong, a card-carrying member of the Democrat Socialists of America, who was favored by 22 points in the last polls, before voting in 5 polls with an average margin of 22.8 points plus, lost in the late night count to the establishment candidate David Crowley by just over 3,200 votes. A camera crew for CBS58 Milwaukee caught at least one moment when the audit log was exported rather than the results. In the photo, you'll see that the export audit log written at the top of the menu and a pop-up window that says, "Please wait, exporting audit log." Timestamps on the machine show that this occurred at 10:16 p.m. on August 11th, 2026. A separate image shows the proper menu for selecting either configurations or results setup. So I'm going to bring this on the screen here for you. Again, not that this has any kind of bearing on if somebody did something nefarious or if somebody did something, out of the fact that they just didn't know what the hell they were doing, so it's incompetence. Nobody knows why yet, or the underlying reason why this was done. Were they not trained on the machine properly? Were they doing it on purpose? Here is the next screen where you can configurate configurations, results, and setup. And so after these pictures were released, or they were released at the same time as AJ Bayatpour post, and he's a journalist, our cameras caught the moment that Milwaukee election staff screwed up. While the election commission says there was no way to see the wrong info was on the USB sticks because it was encrypted, it sure looks like somebody could have caught what they were calling a mistake while exporting. Alexander Schur, a writer for Vote Beat, posted that somebody clicked the wrong button on several tabulators. They did it right in front of me. It was a bad mistake if it was a mistake. Those same officials clicked the right button on those same tabulators later, also right in front of me. So the question is, was there a nefarious reason to delay the results from getting to the tabulators to getting to officially to the election headquarters desk and the news and the outlets? Was there a nefarious reason why that, what did they say? It was over an hour, right? Just over an hour? Or is it just a simple mistake? And if it's a simple mistake, then how could it have been a simple mistake on every machine unless it's incompetent? So it comes back to two things. Not a mistake. A mistake doesn't keep happening, right? If you go and do a job and you're trained to do a job, you don't keep making the same mistake. You could make a mistake once. You could make a mistake maybe twice in a night, but not on every tabulator. So it's not a mistake. It's either incompetence or nefarious. Incompetence or nefarious. Now, if you're on the left, you'll say it was a mistake, it wasn't incompetence at all, because they can't own up to anything. If you're on the middle, you would say, looks like incompetence. If you're on the right, straight up nefarious, because why is there always cheating around a Democrat? Now, you may not call this cheating. Okay, then why are there always discrepancies? Why are there always lost ballots? Why is there always found ballots? Why is there always mistakes? Why is there always a chain of custody that's been broken? Why is there always something? Why isn't it ever just boom, boom, boom? And why are the Republican states not guilty of the same thing? Are Democrats dumb, or are they incompetent? Or are they nefarious? Well, you can't keep making the same mistake over and over and over and over and over again at a professional level. So it's either incompetence or nefarious, and I have a feeling since it's a pattern, then it's not incompetence. Incompetence can be fixed. You can reteach somebody or a next group of people how not to do the same thing that the people before them did. That's how you fix incompetence. As far as nefarious goes, there's only one way to fix that, and that's put their ass in prison. Prison will humble you. Trust me. Prison will change your outlook on things, or it won't, and you'll be a repeat offender, and you'll go back and back and back and back again, which most people do. Decon13 says it's all of the above. AK says we had to fight the Israeli stuff. I don't know what you're talking about. NL Goldie, middle of the night ballot drops. Lori, they're nefarious. Calpurnia, all of the above. Renee, why do we need a month to count anything? Pretty much, right? The 1IM, why are they counting ballots up until the week after? Kozlo says mistake/incompetence does not justify the results. Teapot says what year? Investigation after investigation. It is about an hour and 10 minutes before the end of the show, before Will Johnson comes on. But while we're talking about elections, I cannot skip bringing up John Brennan. John Brennan, who's about to have probably 3 to 4 indictments in the Southern District of Florida, is sounding the alarm that the Republicans are going to cheat and steal the midterms. So he's the next one to pile on and get all afraid and have to come out like a
fear about what may happen ahead of these midterms.
I think we ought to be very worried about what the president might do in order to try to interfere somehow in the integrity of the upcoming midterm elections. He has tremendous authority in terms of the President of the United States.
Damn right he does.
And if he believes that, either house is going to shift to Democratic control, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's going to pull out all stops and use, as he says, every tool at their availability. And with the Department of Justice, as well as with the Republican Congress willing to support him, again, I think we have very legitimate reasons to be very concerned and worried. Director John Brennan.
So let me ask you this, John Brennan and everybody who thinks that President Trump is just going to cancel elections or use all of his power and then some to make sure that he breaks democracy so that there's no such thing anymore or whatever. Why did he leave the White House on January 20th of 2021? Not only why did he leave the White House and just not stay there if he's this kind of guy, but how did he insurrect himself? You do know that January 6th he was still president, right? And 7th and 8th and 9th and 10th and all the way up until January 20th. How did Donald Trump inspire an insurrection against himself if he was powerful enough to just stay there anyway? If he's the guy you say he is. That's a question that you should ask every Democrat you know. Do you think Donald Trump is a Nazi? Yep. Do you think Donald Trump is going to try to take over the midterms and not allow a free and fair election to happen? Absolutely. Do you think Donald Trump is going to try to cling to power at all costs? Yes, I do. Okay, good. I'm glad you said that. So let me ask you this. Why didn't he do that on January 20th of 2021? And better yet, not only why didn't he just do that if he had the power, why did he incite a fake insurrection against himself if he could have just stayed into power? Make all that make sense. If the guy is who you say he is, then he didn't have to have an insurrection. He didn't have to inspire one, even though he told people to patriotically go protest and then go home. He could have just said, I'll just keep it. What are you going to do? Why didn't he just do that? Why did he get on that plane and that tarmac and fly away and allow Joe Biden to come in if he truly is the man that you say he is? He clearly thought the election was stolen. He clearly still thinks the election is stolen. So why did he just let Joe Biden steal it from him if he was the president with all that power? That's a question you have to ask yourself. If you can't answer that with a logical answer, spit on your hand and slap yourself.
I mean, I have a liberal answer. Because Super Biden flew in with his cape and his big B on his chest, which means he's the man of the hour. He says, you get out of here, Mr. T-Man. And the stupid Trump was like, ah! And he ran away with his full diaper because he poops himself.
Pretty much exactly how they sound like. It's pretty much exactly the perfect representation of a YouTube troller who can't get any information correct no matter how hard they try. Gotta love it. Hey, Eli, here's a good one. I don't know why you're listening to that guy for. Don't you know that he went to jail? Hey, everybody, he went to jail before. He went to jail, everybody. That guy did. Yeah?
According to somebody over there, the amount of coke that apparently you had to deal with just keeps getting bigger and
bigger.
Oh, I
know.
I think we're up to 50 keys now or something.
Yeah.
You're horrible. You're
awful. I'm a cokehead who I guess stole from veterans. Stole from the military too. I stole from the military. I was in the military and I did some heist and stole from the military. And I live in Kentucky. Jeremy Harrell, but not the same one as this guy.
He also dodged a bunch of cop questions or something during the investigation. Watch out for Jeremy.
Yeah, cops were like, did you do this? I was like, Neo. According to these people, Eli, I should be locked up forever. I should be in a gulag somewhere. But yet here I am, reporting day in and day out while you watch. There's an old saying, Eli, losers focus on winners. And winners, they just keep focusing on winning. Ask Mike Crispy. He knows.
Let's go, baby. Yes, Frankie.
All right, let's keep going then. Don't you love that soundbite, Eli?
It's the greatest ever.
No.
It also still blows my mind that people over there, you went to jail like a long time ago. Yeah. I mean, you paid his debt to society and you get out after you do that. Are you always a scumbag forever and always after? Or is working on yourself and bettering yourself a thing anymore?
Yeah. That was 26 years ago, number one. And number two, it had nothing to do with the military or cocaine. So, but this is the best soundbite, Eli, from Mike Crispy.
Yes, ban the homeless.
That's the best soundbite from Mike Crispy. Let me play that one more time.
Yes, ban the homeless. Yes, ban the homeless.
I'm going to turn that into my ringtone.
Yes, ban the homeless. Yes, ban the homeless. Yes, ban the homeless. Yes, ban the homeless.
Freedom, baby. $30. Happy birthday, Jeremy. And thank you for the job that you do. Well?
Yes, ban the homeless.
Thank you very much. Ban the homeless. I tell you, if I was dealing in massive amounts of cocaine, you know who would be my first client? Who do you think would be my very first client if I was, Eli?
By the way, whatever happened to Hunter? Where the hell is he? Where's Hunter?
That's what I would be asking. That's exactly what I'd be asking. What?
If Jeremy was still dealing today, it would have been one of his bags that Hunter dropped in the White House.
Yeah, would have been.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Hey, let's get into this. Mike Rogers, a commanding lead in the polls right now. Independents, he's up 5%. Overall, he's up 4% over the Ahmadinejad Mohammed Ali Sayyad.
Outside. Look at this, a new Fox News poll. Rogers is actually up by 4 points. He's up by 4 points. It's close, but a Republican is ahead in Michigan. And why? Why? What is going on? Look among independents. Rogers actually leads by 5. This is extremely unusual because across the political map, as I was looking at these different Fox News polls, I couldn't find another example where the Republican was actually leading among independents. And it turns out that candidate quality may in fact matter, at least in terms of how voters see it, because in this same poll, the Democratic candidate for governor was ahead. So this is unique to the Senate race, and it is quite a troubling result for Democrats and quite a heartening one for Republicans.
So do you have a sense then, Harry, of what it is that is contributing to the struggles, right, that Abdul al-Sayed is? Is it that Rogers is a stronger candidate, or is it that al-Sayed has more issues for voters to deal with?
It is all about Abdul al-Sayed. He is a weak candidate, at least by the metrics that we normally look at. And you can just take a look here. Okay, the net favorability rating of the Dem Senate candidates across these northern battlegrounds. You'll notice there's only one candidate, Ren, one who has an unfavorable rating higher than his favorable rating, and it is significantly higher. Look how far underwater Abdul al-Sayed is. He is 13 points underwater, under there in Lake Michigan. My goodness gracious. Troy Jackson in Maine, he's at +1. You got Sherrod Brown at +4 in Ohio, and Josh Turek in Iowa way above there at +18 points. This is extremely unusual. Again, across the map, Democrats have done such a good job recruiting candidates who are well liked by the voters. Again, I looked at all the Fox News polls. All the Democrats were above water except for Abdul al-Sayed, and he is 13 points underwater. This is all about Abdul al-Sayed being a weak candidate, at least in the minds of the voters.
And so then just putting that in perspective, too, in the state of Michigan, this is, I mean, you touched on this, right? But this is especially important when you look at things in the state of Michigan.
Yeah, okay. So you look at this first slide, right? You see that Mike Rogers is ahead, right, by 4 points. Well, I was interested because I couldn't think of another example where you actually had a Democratic candidate who was down at least 4 points. 4 points in a Senate poll in Michigan. And it turns out for this entire century, Abdul al-Sayed is the only one in a poll that meets CNN standards for publication. This is extremely, extremely, extremely unusual. Abdul al-Sayed breaking records in the ways that you don't want to. In fact, he is the first Democrat down by this much, as I said, in a century since 1994. Now, I will note, obviously, we have a campaign to go, and I think there are different ways you can look at this metric, right?
So, Eli, if there's anybody that's on cocaine, it's that guy, number one, because that guy's always on fire. And number two, Sorry, lefties. That wasn't a Fox poll. That was a Kalshi poll. That was the Kalshi odds. So, Fox. Now, election fraud. You guys think there's none of it. Okay? I'm going to enter one. James O'Keefe. Eli, can we get your Muhammad voice real quick here?
BMW fraudulent.
James O'Keefe puts on a full Muslim outfit with his friend who also was completely covered. And they go to vote. And Eli, you'll never guess what they found when they went to vote. They found that you could vouch for others and vote for them. In some cases, ready for this, an unlimited amount of other people. Think about that. But there's no voter fraud anywhere. The best to ever do it, folks. Having a blast. James O'Keefe.
For 7 other Muslims at a Minneapolis polling booth. I'm going in to this location and I'm going to say that I'm vouching for them. The name is William Pomerantz. The question about the vouching program, vouching. I can vouch for them, but they are not registered. That's okay, that's fine. Can I bring 5 more from up to 8 people? Okay, that's a good thing. We go back and we get Krishna and Ernesto and Mohammed. In Minnesota, you can show up on election day and vouch for up to 8 unregistered voters. Members of the Justice League dress up in traditional Muslim attire, including a transgender wearing a burqa, and put this vouching law to an extreme test on primary day, August 11th.
Gonna be a baller. Shot caller, 20-inch blades on an Impala.
The vouching.
You're vouching for?
I vouch for them.
Oh, great.
Is that okay?
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, if you're all in the same precinct,
yes,
and you are already registered, which it looks like you are, then you can vouch for them as ID for them.
Oh, good. She says to me, I say they do not need ID. She says, you are the ID.
He is the ID.
See, I am the ID. And no ID needed. I just vouch for them.
Well, you're the ID.
I am the ID. That's good. How many people may I vouch for?
8.
8?
I thought it was 6. 8.
I can vouch for 8 people? 8 people, no ID. We come right back. Thank you. Most poll workers we visited were willing to let us vouch with no questions asked, even when presented with the most absurd situation imaginable. While other poll workers did take issue with our investigation, revealing their awareness that something about this vouching system is deeply flawed or wrong. Yet for some reason, they don't want us to expose it.
Can't have her see me.
Get down.
I'm a 20-inch crawler, blaze on Impala, diamond rock waller.
In Minnesota, voters can vouch for up to 8 of their unregistered friends. At the polling place, a registered voter from the same...
Whoa. In Minnesota, people can vouch for their 8 unregistered friends? I got to hear that again. I got to make sure I heard that right. Let's hear that again.
Vouch for up to 8 of their unregistered friends. At the polling place, a registered voter from the same precinct signs an oath confirming that they personally know the voter lives there. This allows someone without ID to register and vote. And employees of residential facilities may vouch for an unlimited number of facility residents to vote at the facility's address. That's right, an unlimited number. While proponents emphasize that the policy expands ballot access for recent movers and senior citizens, critics view it as a potential for fraud. For example, if a voucher were to lie on this contract and allow 8 of his ineligible friends to vote, vote and the results of that election are announced on the same day, what happens when the oath is further investigated and it is discovered that those vouched for votes shouldn't have been counted? The results of the election will have already been announced and enacted by that point. This document shows that the election workers simply circle a number of the vouchees. There's no other identifying information. And Scott Pressler from the organization Early Vote Action says there is no list of these vouchee voters anywhere. When he requested them from areas like Duluth, St. Paul, Minneapolis, and St. Cloud, Minnesota, Pressler says they are nameless, faceless, and recordless. So we dressed in full traditional Muslim attire and went in to ask if we can vouch for 8 of our unregistered friends, just to test the limits of this law and the willingness of election judges to go along with it. Only Muslim women traditionally wear the full face covering. So Cam Higbee was in disguise as my transgender Muslim wife.
So he's wearing the niqab, so basically he's not supposed to shake hands with a man. So what he does is once a man tries to shake hands, he has to do it.
Yeah, you stick it in, but with, like, say these are ribs right here, right?
Oh, yeah, I don't
Each
shake
rib
hands.
has ribbing.
You're going to be the female, or are we? Am I the voucher this time?
You're the voucher. We're the vouchees.
So I'm William Pomerantz. I am William Pomerantz. This is my.
That's great.
I vouch for people.
Yes, great.
I vouch for people.
For
the vouching system. I have 8 people come from my apartment. This is going to be ridiculous.
It's going to be great.
We're going in to this location, and I'm going to say that I'm vouching for them. The name is William Pomerantz. I'm voting. I'm talking about the vouching program. Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Checked in right there.
Hello, this is the vote. The name is William.
The last name?
Pomerantz.
And does that look correct?
That is the date of birth. The question about the about the vouching program. Yeah. Okay. If I vouch for them.
Yes.
I can vouch for them.
Already registered today.
This name has I'm registered, but they are not registered. That's okay. That's fine. Can I bring 5 more from up to 8 people? So I go get the rest of them and come and they can vote today.
Yeah.
I can just vouch for them that they are registered. Yes.
Yeah. So
okay, that's a good thing. We go back and we get Rishno and Ernesto and Mohammed, and we bring them here. We go get the other people when we come back.
Since you're already registered, you can vouch for up to 8 people.
I did not know this. I thought they can only vote 1 at a time. Yeah.
Well, you each only get 1 vote, but you can vouch for up to 8.
That is great. I'll go do that. We go pick up the rest of the people. We come, and then all 8 I'll vouch for them.
No.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'll see you. Thank you. We go get Mohammed. We come back. Success. We go in. I say the name is William Pomerantz, and they tell me that I can vouch for up to 8 people. I say we go back. We get Ramesh. We get Mohammed. We get Rishnu. We come back. We vote. They say no problem. We can vouch for up to 8 people. And we're going to go get the voters and come back, and then we shall vote. No ID needed. They're not registered. No problem, they say. I said not registered. They said no problem. You can vote if you're not registered. So that worked. Let's try it again.
Let's do it again.
No ID. No ID. They do not have ID. It's a problem. Can they sign something?
And you don't have ID either. That's the biggest scam, I think, is that you can, as long as you know their name and their address, you can show up and vote in their name, no verification required.
But it looks like we may have a problem.
Can't park or something.
You want me to ask? Should I get up now?
What we could do is just reposition.
He's gonna go alert somebody.
Does he work there?
And the white shirt told him about us.
I can't have her
You
see me.
That? Get down.
Oh yeah, they're recording.
Get down, get down, get down, get down, get down.
She's radioing somebody.
talking about us.
Probably think we're ICE.
There's a piece of paper here. Additional ways to register. Vouching by registered voter who can confirm your address. A voter can vouch for you. The voucher must live in your precinct, personally know you. I can vouch for up to 8 people, no problem. We're gonna go in. We're gonna ask, can we vouch for 8 people without identification? Home of the camels. I am at home with the camels. Home camel. Hello, good day to you.
Good to you.
The last name is Shimizu. They're with me.
They're not voting?
With the vouching.
They're vouching for you.
I vouch for them.
Oh, great.
Is that okay?
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, if you're all in the same precinct,
Yes.
and you are already registered, which it looks like you are, then you can vouch for them as ID for them.
Oh, good. If they do not have their ID, is that okay? I vouch for them. How many people may I vouch for?
It's
8?
I thought it was 6. 8.
I can vouch for 8 people? Oh, good. We can go pick up Mohammed and Ranuzu in the car outside. Good. The question about the vouching, again, I can vouch for 8 people.
Yeah. In your precinct.
They live, yes, in my precinct. That is so wonderful.
Yes.
That is such a good American tradition. She says to me, I say, they do not need ID. She says, you are the ID.
He is the ID.
See, I am the ID. And no ID needed. I just vouch for them.
Well,
It's
you're
good.
the ID.
I am the ID. It's good. I'm going to go get the others and I'll come right back. I'm just in the car, okay?
Oh, they're in the car?
Yes, ma'am. They come, but I did not know that it was 8.
All right.
So 8 people, no ID. We come right back. Thank you. I know the audience is probably thinking this is completely ridiculous, but what we found is that by dressing like this, it's actually less ridiculous to a lot of the local Minneapolis people here who are less suspicious of me dressed like this versus going in normal James O'Keefe clothes. You can't make this stuff up. James O'Keefe reporting from Minneapolis, Minnesota on primary day. Let's get out of here. This investigation is part of a series that...
So, for all you states do their own voting laws, not the feds. I guess states are doing criminal activity then, because that's criminal. That is fraud. And if you don't think that, okay, just because he can vouch for 8, no, that's what we're trying to get rid of. Because everything humans touch, they exploit. Guns don't kill people. Bad people with guns kill people. AI itself isn't a bad thing. It can be used for great things. In people's hands, it's a bad thing. Leaving loose voting rules and laws like this, people are going to exploit them because that's what people do. And especially if they have very low morals on today's left. Now, I've been hearing a lot that President Trump is not happy already with the amount of speed that Mark Wayne Mullen has been showing in deporting these individuals. So I think, just like Judge Janine, he lit a fire up under Mark Wayne Mullen's butt. And Mark Wayne Mullen was talking about this yesterday, talking about the sanctuary cities. And if the threats of what the Department of Homeland Security have towards the sanctuary cities actually are valid, if there's validity behind those threats, if they come behind the threats and actually do something, then this would be a good thing to see. I want to say hello to Amy. Amy is back in the chat. I can chat again. No more being in the YouTube chat. Thank you so much. Amy, didn't even know you were muted, but we're glad you're back. I could not be over there anyway. It's rough over there, isn't it, Amy? Like, tell the audience that doesn't go over there what it's like over there while I play this 2-minute hit from Mark Wayne Mullen.
Wednesday in the Oval Office about what tools do we have to be able to really put pressure on sanctuary cities. And it's crazy to think to enforce them to live by law and order. I mean, you shouldn't have to do that, but this is how radical the Democrat Party has become. We spend most of our time in ICE in these sanctuary cities going after individuals that are illegally in this country that's been released by the state or the city in these sanctuary cities that we have put detainers on. These are rapists. These are child molesters. These are murderers. These are sex traffickers. These are drug cartels. These are gang members. These are terrorists that are terrorizing our community. And in sanctuary cities, they're literally releasing them back onto the streets. And so in this particular case, we've asked the state of California, hey, are you kidding me? Give us this guy back. Let us deport him. But they're refusing. In Colorado, I was in Colorado last week. In Colorado, there was a sheriff there that was being prosecuted by the state, fining him $50,000 because he released an illegal into ICE's custody that was I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if I can actually say what he was being released for, but it was a very serious crime. Mm-hmm. And the issue that they had is they said it was against state law to participate with federal agents. And you're going, ICE didn't make these laws. ICE is enforcing the laws that Congress is going out there complaining about.
Yeah.
We're simply enforcing the laws that Congress passed. If Congress doesn't like that, then they have the ability to change it. But my men and women that I had the privilege to serve with every single day underneath President Trump's leadership, we're going out there and we're arresting the worst of the worst. 70% of the people we encounter every day have a felony charge or have been charged or have already served time for a felony that we're deporting.
Yeah.
So let's get on these sanctuary cities. Can we start putting some people in prison? That would be nice. I'd love to see some people put in prison. Eli says it all the time. He says, every single time I see a Democrat, mayor, or governor, or even president, they're more concerned about illegal aliens and their life here than they are with American citizens' lives and American citizens' needs. And the left can blame you know what's funny is it's always a state issue until it looks bad for the state. Vote is a state issue. They are sovereign states. They can do what they want. They have their own laws. Oh, Trump's the reason that we have $6 gas in California. These governors of these states, these blue states, they care more about people that don't legally live here than those who were legally born here, who have worked for 20, 30 years here, grew up and went to high school here, have our values and our allegiance to this country here. Kathy Hochul brags about spending millions of tax dollars on the legal bills for illegal alien children. Do you remember when Kamala Harris donated to get those Antifa and Black Lives Matter rioters out of prison? That's what they do. Do you remember George Floyd's gold casket? The only gold George Floyd ever saw before was maybe a gold tooth that he knocked out of one of his baby mama's mouths and tried to pawn off at the local pawn shop, while then feeding her fentanyl and putting her out on the street like a good pimp. That's the only gold he ever saw. Kathy Hochul shelled out $7 million to cover legal bills for 1,400 illegal alien children in New York. And bragged about it. Loved it. The New York Post did a story about how Kathy Hochul is spending upwards of $7 million, taxpayer dollars, on the legal bills for illegal immigrant youths in the state. Why is it that every Democrat is so determined to let the public know that they care more about the country's illegal aliens than they do about American citizens? It's a day in and day out story. She announced the Empire State will be shelling out $7 million to cover the legal bills for more than 1,000 unaccompanied migrant children across New York. Oh, they're just New York children. The $7.25 million in funding will cover an estimated 1,400 migrant kids facing removal proceedings, including about 250 that are already in detention. The governor said at the press conference in Manhattan alongside Zohran Mamdani and State Attorney General Letitia James that she was so proud. The announcement came after the Trump administration let its contacts with a network of 100 providers work with migrant kids nationwide lapse in July. It's cruel. Don't you think that opening the Darien Gap and giving these people rape kits to get them to the United States was cruel? Don't you think that was cruel? Don't you think it was cruel when Ben Bergquam was just walking the Darien Gap, recording the entire thing, and he came across this group of this family who was laying there crying in tears, and the daughter up against a tree, and he asked what happened, and he said that a group of coyotes and bandits or whatever he called them came and raped the daughter and the mom right in front of them, held them down, couldn't do anything. Where were you then? That's not cruel. Or is it, how about this? Wasn't it cruel to allow all those people to come in and literally suck off the system and wear down on the systems that we have for the people that are already in need in this country? Wasn't that cruel? Wasn't it cruel to give those people money over the people that live here and that are born here? Isn't that cruel? You guys are the biggest scumbags on planet Earth. You disgust me day in and day out. Every day of the week, I'm disgusted by another thing that a left-wing crazy person does for everybody else in the world, but not their own country. And that's why you keep losing. That's why you don't have the White House. That's why you don't have the Senate. That's why you don't have the House of Representatives. That's why there are more red states than blue states. Nobody likes you. When are you going to figure that out? Eli, do you remember yesterday we talked about the electric shock gloves? It's shocking. I reached out to them for a partnership possibility. I'd love to be able to have be sponsored by the electric shock gloves so that everybody here could buy a pair. I think they're great. Adam Kinzinger doesn't think they're great, though. Everybody's, doesn't ICE know how to do anything? Aren't they trained? Can't they be trained to use their tasers rather than their guns? Okay, well, we're going to do something even more humane than tasers. Because tasers, you got to shoot those things into them, those taser darts. And they go into them. They got to pull them out. It's a pain, right? That's a lot more humane to just grab them and they fall to the ground. Now, we know it doesn't hurt them for a long period of time because the guy yesterday that we saw fell to the ground and then immediately started laughing. Adam Kinzinger thinks that's inhumane. So we're not shooting them, we're shocking them. And we're not shooting the little, rods into them so that they're just sitting there getting shocked and they got to pull them out. We're doing it even more humane with a glove, and that's not even good enough. So what are we supposed to do? Just let them run amok, just let them do whatever they want? But that's not even the grossest part of this next clip I'm going to show you. The grossest part of this next clip I'm going to show you is, and I'm not even going to say, look, everybody did the whole ants with the magnifying glass thing, right? But the amount of enthusiasm that Adam Kinzinger says that he used to kill animals when he was a kid, that's the sick part. You could tell that he definitely was one of those kids.
Electric gloves, man. I would encourage you all, if you haven't looked up a demonstration of these gloves. I know CNN was playing them, but look it up. And I thought, when I read about this, I thought it was like, when you touch an electric fence and you get a little right?
Yeah.
I thought it was like that. And I saw the demonstration.
As a kid, you kind of did it just for fun after a while.
Yeah.
You're just like,
or you actually zap yourself in the, you put the fork in the thing or whatever. And
we were poor when we were kids. My kid wouldn't do this because she's just on the iPad.
Did you ever do the ants, like fry ants with a magnifying glass?
Okay, no, I wasn't a sociopath.
That was cool, though, man.
You did?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That's sadist. You killed animals? Ants. You're killing little...
Not animals. I wasn't like magnifying glasses puppies.
Okay, those are insect comrades, Adam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know what? Judge me. But everybody listening has fried ants with a magnifying glass.
Okay, sorry. You. Little gay boy wasn't frying any ants.
You were dressing.
Where were we? Oh, yeah, you were watching the video of the electric shock.
It's a big cop, and he's like, he's doing the demonstration, and they electric gloves him, and he like screams and just drops. This is not a small thing. It's like 330 volts. Your typical volts are 115. This is scary. And like, what are they going to do? Run around and just zap an entire crowd down? And do you really need it? That's the point. This is just disgusting behavior. I think they've used those audio weapons before that screw up your inner ear. It's nonsense.
It is the cruelty is the point thing. Like, they want this. Trump wants this. Like, they're pussies. It's like they don't want. Like, Trump wouldn't want to do it himself or see it, or like he's scared of blood. But he likes the stories about it.
Yeah.
He likes the perception that he's got there are other people out there doing violent stuff.
No, he likes these stories of them getting deported and removed from our country. Folks, we're sitting at number 5 right now on the live leaderboard behind Crowder, Candace, The Alex Jones Show, and The Crucible, who are all watching the debate between Candace and Andrew. So if you guys want to catch that debate later, you can. I just didn't want to play the whole thing for my show because, you know, we're a news show. So, you know, we like to talk about news, you know, truth, facts, things that matter. And clearly they did, because it was because of people like you and the people in this audience that actually got President Trump back in that White House. So clearly we're doing something tangible, right? All right. Good, about a half an hour here left. Okay. The town that we used to live in was very poor on childhood education. We put our kids through Christian school because the public school system where we lived was so absolutely horrible. It got to a point where they weren't even crediting the kids to graduate high school. So kids were going through high school and they weren't even getting the accreditation. And the reason why they weren't getting the accreditation was because they were all lower than proficient when it came to math, reading, and science. Math, reading, and science. You can't be lower than proficient at a tune of 70% of your children and expect to be credited for graduation. Now, you know who I do blame for this? I go all the way back to, I believe it was Eli, if I'm not mistaken, was it Nancy Reagan or was it Barbara Bush? Can you find this out for me? I think it was Nancy Reagan who did the No Child Left Behind. You go all the way back to that No Child Left Behind, that was the worst thing that we ever did. Because the No Child Left Behind means you don't fail kids so that they feel bad while their classmates move on, that you pass them along too. And it didn't really get that bad until the turn of the millennium in 2000. And they dumbed everything down. And they're not only there, but they did it in the military too. Remember I told you the guy I used to work with, the guy that had 4 deployments and he had the serious PTSD? He told me that even when he left the military, they were already dumbing down the PT requirements for women so that they could be like on the front line, so they could be Navy SEALs and they could be Green Berets. So they were lowering the standards of the PT tests and the PT requirements, which one of those was you had to be able to grab a 200-pound dummy, lift it on your shoulder, and get out of a window as if you're removing a soldier to safety. The women couldn't do that, so they ixnayed that for them so that they didn't have to do that. When you start dumbing down academics, when you start dumbing down people's physical abilities and what they have to be able to do in order to be on those front lines in the military, then you put people at risk. And when you do it with education, you put the whole damn country at risk, right? Whitney Houston said, I believe the children are our future. And that's absolutely true. So that's why these next 2 stories break my heart. And this teacher's actually crying because of the fact that he had to be forced to pass these kids when they couldn't even read or write 2 sentences. This is the problem. Eli, who was it with the No Child Left Behind?
It was President George W. Bush, January 8th, 2002, introduced and signed the No Child Left Behind Act into law.
So that was Barbara Bush pushing that. Nancy Reagan was to say no to drugs. That didn't work out very well either. You know what I mean? It's kind of like prohibition. When you outlaw something and when you go after something, it makes it bigger of a problem. The Say No to Drugs, the DARE campaign, didn't really do much at all. It actually ended up costing massive resources, and more children got addicted to drugs. So I knew it was around that time, but Barbara Bush came in right afterwards and did the No Child Left Behind thing. Of course they did, the Bush family.
Mm-hmm. I just want to throw out a little bit of a correction there for you, Jeremy. That was not Whitney Houston. That was Randy Watson and Sexual Chocolate.
I believe the children are our future. Let them laugh and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Sexual Chocolate. Laura Bush. I'm sorry, Laura Bush. My fault. Laura Bush, not Barbara. No Child Left Behind. Not a good thing, because what happens is you get this kind of stuff. Watch this.
High school and going to college, and they couldn't fill in 4 words. 4 words. I literally broke down in the middle of class. This is only day 2, and I have seniors who simply cannot read and seniors who cannot write. They can reason, they have the ability to defend their reasoning if it's talking to their homeboy, but applying that to a written text, 2 paragraphs, and they couldn't do it. Our young black men, our young brown men, our young black girls, and our young brown girls.
I feel for that guy,
These
man.
kids are leaving high school and going to college, and they couldn't fill in 4 words. 4 words. I literally broke down.
So people are asking me in the Rumble or in the YouTube chat, so what's MAGA's plan? What's Trump's plan? We're actually trying to do it, but we're getting major pushback by these public school system in these states. You know what it is? Get back to academics and stop with the social justice bullshit. Stop with the LGBTQ stuff. Stop putting trans flags in schools. Stop affirming everybody's problems. Stop affirming everybody's behavior. Stop making it so that everybody has to be equal, and equity is the biggest thing. And DEI. Start putting teachers in there that take no shit and start teaching, or they get the kid out of the school. Stop putting 4 teachers for 1 classroom, 2 principals for 1 school, because they can't do it, and they got to have the perfect balance between somebody who's going to talk to the kids so that they can hear it and somebody who's going to talk at the kids so that they need to hear it. Get rid of half these guidance counselors. Fire the administrators in the school. Save the budget and get real teachers back in school and be hard asses on these kids. That's how you do it. And if you're too stupid to understand that, then maybe you're the one with a drug problem. Eli.
And point of order, Trump wouldn't need to have a plan if we didn't spend the last 20 to 30 years screwing up the schools to begin with.
That's exactly right. Thank your Democrats for that in your communities. It's not Republican schools that are out there putting trans flags up. They're putting Bibles in the school. Look at the proficiency of the children that are in the school with the 10 Commandments, as opposed to the proficiencies of the schools, of the kids that are in the schools with the trans flags and the BLM flags, with their phones out with chains on like that kid in that picture. Just look at the two. You want to know what the dumbing down of America is? Democrats running the Department of Education from the top down. That's why I'm so glad President Trump gutted the Department of Education. So glad. You want it to be back to states' right and every other thing, then put it back to the states in that too. Just like we did abortion. How stupid are you as a parent? The people in that YouTube channel over there, Eli, those are those kids. Those are the people that grew up like that. And you're seeing the result of it. They don't even know what up, down, left, and right is. You say something is blue, they'll say it's red. Trump says something is good, they'll say it's bad. They just cannot live like a normal person. Hence why they're always watching stuff that they hate. They're that stupid.
Antioch this past year, and Blue Ribbon Teacher of the Year for the district. What you have in front of you right now is my resignation letter. I resigned in May. You can read those 3 pages at your leisure, but I've heard a lot of positive data in this meeting, and I just wanted to give you some facts from my firsthand experience. So first, district leaders asked me to fabricate grades for a parent who sat in the office for hours until her daughter's failing grades were changed.
Wow.
It creates false entitlement.
Yep.
What happens when these kids lie, cheat, and cry their way through school and end up as future doctors, police, or politicians?
Democrats.
When will you protect the future of our society? Second, that same parent has harassed over 30 teachers. Teachers have filed police reports, and entire school districts have had entire schools have had restraining orders against her. Yet she's still allowed on school property, showing up to field trips her child didn't earn, and filming other students. When will you stop prioritizing parents' feelings over the safety of our teachers and our students? I heard you also mention that we're closing gaps in teacher vacancies. I want the public to know that many of those are filled with uncertified teachers. My third point, HR withheld money from my employee paycheck as well as many others. They took $500 from me specifically, and it put me behind on my mortgage. And then they sent out an email saying that they had to do it to pay other employees. When will you pay teachers what they are owed? My fourth point, the news reports that behavioral issues are down. They are not. We are simply banned from reporting them, forcing us to keep disruptive students in the classroom. Statistics are being skewed to protect the district, not our children. Our children cannot read and write. They cannot do basic math. And we spend 40 hours a week with these students, so we know them better than the district and those fake numbers. Please stop undermining our professional decisions because honestly, it's breaking the efficiency and it's giving HOA quality. So Dr. Battle, my question to you
Thank you. The time.
Okay.
But
Yep. And apparently everybody on the left is a teacher too, because they understand, they don't go on the front lines. They've never served their community. They've never been a cop. They've never been a doctor. They've never done anything of any value whatsoever, most lefties, but they're experts on everything. They couldn't tell you what our current GDP is without looking it up. They couldn't tell you what our current exact debt is. They'll say, 40 trillion. They couldn't tell you what it is without looking it up. That's why when I have a debate, I want somebody on that can't look this stuff up. Look it up afterwards. Or look it up even after we've discussed that topic so we're still on. So you can fact check it yourself. But the fact is they know nothing. Absolutely nothing. They know nothing about how the world works. They know nothing about how education works. Nothing. All they know how to do is destroy, whine, moan, and complain. And when we Republicans try to fix things, wah! But too bad. We're taking over. And we're going to stay in charge through November, all the way till 2029.
Anna Wills also fought back against changing failing grades, writing, "What is being done is unethical and could very well be interpreted as illegal." The emails show that administrators wrote Wills had failed students, but had not alerted their parents to their failing grades, as required by district policy, and that because of it, she needed to pass the students, giving them a D. Wills fired back, saying one student was told many times to make up the exams and never did, and that she was out on medical leave for much of one semester, and asking, when was I supposed to be contacting parents? Writing, quote, "You can cook the books to have the data look the way you need it." Anna Wills also fought back against changing failing grades.
Look at that. Change the grades. Change the grades so they can pass, so we can get paid, so we can keep our job. The dumbing down of America, folks. Your modern day left. They didn't graduate. They don't even graduate college. They go to college, they become propagandized. If they do graduate, then they were given that passing grade. That's why most Democrats who get out of college that go don't have the job of which they went for. They just don't. It's sad. It really is. It is sad. And we actually do pray for you guys. We do. We know that you're like mentally ill. We know that you hate. We know all of that. You know the craziest thing about the way you think of us and the way we think of you? We could say to you today, I could say to the people that hate me the worst in these chats, I could say, let's go have a beer. Let's go have a beer. Let's go shoot some golf. Let's just have a good day. Let's get over all this. You could never do that. You couldn't get through that day without hurting yourself or me. Because that's how the left is. They are just geared towards violence. Remind me again how many assassination attempts were on Eli? President Trump in a year and a half? 5?
No clue, man. I've lost count.
Yeah. Eli, how many assassination... Eli, can you do me a favor? Let's Google this. Or Bing or whatever you use. How many assassination attempts were on Joe Biden's life from 2020 to 2024? Credible. How many credible assassination attempts were on Joe Biden's life from 2020 to 2020? I'm just asking questions, folks. Rumble chat, can I just ask questions? I think we can, right? Just asking. I'm very curious because I seem to think that there's none. And if there is, nobody even knew about it, so they weren't too credible. How many we got, Eli? How many does it say?
0.
Oh, 0. 0. Well, look at that. Look at that. And every time that somebody gets arrested or killed for trying to assassinate President Trump, their social media gets wiped like a trans who shoots up a school. Isn't that weird too? When it's a right-wing person who does it, it's all out there for everybody to see, which is few and far between in the last 5 years, by the way. Few and far between. But when a left-wing person does it, they scrub their social media within hours. They try to get rid of it. Ever notice that? Oh, they're scrubbing the social media of the trans kid who shot up that school, that Christian school. They scrubbed the social media of that other kid who shot up that church up in Minnesota. Got rid of him too. Him, her, whatever. Isn't that weird? So weird. Anyway. We got about 20 minutes left, so let's go ahead and do some, let's do the favorite part. Let's talk about the people that make the world go round here at LFA TV. The audience and our sponsors, Chicago Steak Company, folks, this is where you're buying, right here. See that where it says Chicago Steak Company? It's pointing right there. This is the steak you're buying when you're buying Chicago Steak Company, right up here. This is the steak you're buying when you're buying from the supermarkets. This is the steaks you're buying when you're buying from some of your big chains, right? Some of your big chain stores. Up here, this is farmers market and top tier stuff. Up here, Chicago Steak Company offers 3 different packages. All USDA, prime aged Angus beef, award-winning, all aged up to 6 weeks in the traditional way, superior marbling, tenderness, and flavor. They offer 3 packages at mychicagosteak.com/LFA. You get any of those packages and you're going to get a bunch of free stuff with it, including a $25 account credit towards your next purchase. You're also going to get a free bottle of their signature steak seasoning. You're going to get 16 free 6-ounce Angus beef burgers and more. mychicagosteak.com/LFA. And if you're going to have an end-of-the-year blowout, end-of-the-year cookout, I'm telling you, these are the steaks you're going to want to get. And anybody in the live chat who's got them, please put a testimony in there about what you thought, okay? So, mychicagosteak.com/LFA. Next, I want to give a big shout-out, if I can, to Fatty 15. C15 is an essential fatty acid that everybody in this world, no matter who you are, no matter what size you are, no matter what color you are, can benefit from. Because C15, that fatty acid, has one job, and that one job is to cure damaged cells, to repair damaged cells in your body, to bring metabolic health, cognitive health. It's really big on the cognitive health stuff. It makes you just think so clearly. It gets rid of all the, I always equate it to when you're scrolling on your phone and it's just scrolling. A lot of people think that way, especially with the influx of information these days. It's going to clear that right up for you. It's going to be great for your immune response and really good for your liver health. So, fatty15.com, promo code LFA. It's a 90-day supply. You can actually set it so that you get it every quarter. You get 4 deliveries to your door every single quarter. Fatty15.com, promo code LFA. 90-day supply for just over $100, $101.60. So, fatty15.com, promo code LFA. Big shout out to our sponsors. Thank you very much for not letting the liberal propaganda and the constant battering of emails stop you from helping us out here. Obviously, they're selling product. And obviously, you people are liking it. That's why they stay. So, big shout out to them. Now, in the last 15 minutes, let's go ahead and get to, I got to get to this. I got Jacob Fry. Ladies and gentlemen, never, ever, ever underestimate the ability to show you a cringe video from Jacob Fry. This is Jacob Fry dancing with his local Somali community. And just wow.
Okay, you gotta feel it. You do a little bounce. Ooh, ooh. That's how you keep your rhythm. Ooh.
He doesn't help the homeless of his city. He props up the illegal aliens of the city. Doesn't work with ICE to get rid of the ones with actual detainers. But goes out there and pretends to like Somalis. Remember the time he tried to eat the food and he looked like he was going to puke? Hey, look. All right. I wouldn't say anything about it. I'm like, look, he's dancing with his community members, regardless of the fact that he can or can't dance. I'm not saying it about that. What I am saying is what he doesn't do compared to what he does do. You never see him out there dancing with the community of people that were born and raised there. You never see him out there dancing with I never see him go into the ghettos of Minneapolis and dance with them. I never see him going into the trailer parks and dancing with them. I never see him going to the high rises and dancing with them. I never see him doing anything but for Somalis. Eli, notice that about Jacob Fry? It's always about Somalis. And when that trans shot up that synagogue up there, I believe it was a synagogue up there, when that trans did that, oh yeah, don't demonize the trans community for doing this. And the trans community and the Somali community, they're marginalized. Barely said anything about the victims. Or was it Catholic school, maybe?
You actually need to point that out to me, dude, because it's like I say all the time. The only thing you'll ever hear a Democrat talk about is actually, from one standpoint, they will talk about the trans community, which are technically Americans, but aside from that, it's always illegals, Muslims, Somalis. That's all they ever talk about. Case in point, we've got one here in Vermont. Becca Ballant. Can't friggin' stand her. She does a video every day where she's got the camera right up here in front of her face, and I can't believe how Trump is treating the Somalis and the illegals and the blah, blah, blah. I never hear a Democrat talk about legal Americans, the ones who put them where they are.
Ever. Somebody asked me what college I graduated from, Eli. Well, I'm proud to say I graduated from a tech school. And got my journeyman license in plumbing, heating, and HVAC. An actual skill that can, do well for you and your community and others. Yeah, I did that. And I worked in that field for about 8 years, 7 or 8 years. So, where did you graduate from? That's my question. What college did you graduate from? And what did you go to major in? And what do you do for a living now? Now, since we're on the topic of cringe political leaders, have you seen this? Gavin Newsom took his podcast to Michigan to hang out for the day with Gretchen Whitmer. And this is how that went.
Let me show you how to move, let me show you how to get that bag, you ain't never coming back. Yo man, you know this gon' make him mad. Break that bag, then we make a film on camera.
Okay. So Democrats over on YouTube, do you like this? Is this your stuff? I got to come over there and see. Is this what you like? These two? Gavin Newsom and Gretchen Whitmer? Gretchen Whitmer was working with Biden's FBI to do like a honey trap for people and ended up having to get thrown out of court because they literally conspired they built a crime and then brought people into it and made it look like it was their crime. That happened, right? And stay till the end of the show if you want to see what Stephen A. Smith says about Gavin Newsom. What college did you guys go to? I don't see any. Colleges that you guys, I'm looking through, Eli. I don't see anything. No colleges whatsoever. Not one single college did any of them on the left. Wow. So you guys didn't even go to college or a trade school. Did you graduate high school even? Because, Eli, I've not seen one college that they've graduated from. I don't mind you asking me questions, and I'll answer them. But hard to answer simple questions back. And then we get to this, the sit-down between the two of them, the long-awaited.
Still have a bug for this. Tell the truth.
I have a bug in that I want to stay involved. The bug isn't, I got to run for office.
But if there's a chance for elected office, you would jump at it. If it felt right. The pause says it all. We're having a beer at Crunchies, okay?
Yeah, if it was just the
your
two
old
of us
bar.
talking, maybe.
What do you mean?
There's
No
a
one
microphone
talking.
in front of my face. I'm a little more thoughtful of the words I'm going to choose.
Wow, okay. All right, so you are running.
Shut up. God, you are a pain.
It's kind of, come on, it's fun to be on the other side of the mic.
How early into next year do you declare your candidacy for president?
I can edit this. This is the difference.
I'm going to start a podcast just so I can interview you.
Two losers walk into a bar. Neither of them will ever be president. Hey, Eli, what does it say about those people and Hillary Clinton and all these people that so many people are just so, oh, they're such great people? What does it say? If Trump is who he says they are, what does it say that Trump beat all of them and would have beat Obama if he got to go up against him? That must not say an awful lot about their candidates, people that they look up to.
I guess the hell not. Damn Skippy.
Yep. Still no graduates over there, Eli. Still no graduates over there. Not one. Not one single college. So, ladies and gentlemen, here it is, Rumble. You ready, Rumble chat? Here's what you're looking for. Let's bring this up. Midterm reality. Here's your midterm reality. And maybe you can share this with somebody in your life. Maybe it will help influence their vote. Here you go. Midterm reality. You may not love Republicans, but this election is about what Democrats will do, what they've said they will do. The choice may not be perfect, but the danger is clear. And here's the danger. Republicans, not perfect, but better than the alternative. Democrats, open borders, abortion until birth, just signed in Michigan, New York as well. Race-based taxes, there you go, and socialism. And there's our future. Which path do you want to go down? The choice is yours. I think most people are going to choose to go down the right path. And when I say right, I mean that literally. Okay? Did you hear how mad the left was, Eli, that President Trump's name is getting added back to the Kennedy Center? He always wins. You never, ever can beat him. Isn't that funny? Like you thought that, Eli, just a few weeks back, we were looking online and people were saying, even on social media threads, they were saying stuff like, court made President Trump remove his name from the Kennedy Center. Take that, President Trump. Well, not so fast. It's back on there.
The huge tarp outside the Kennedy Center obscuring the removal of Trump's name is still here, and the tarp is still huge. But the Kennedy Center Board of Directors, filled with Trump acolytes, has just voted to restore Trump's name, despite a court order that Trump's name be taken down. The board has voted to rename the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, restored and renovated by Donald J. Trump. The plaintiffs, including the Ohio congresswoman who sued to get Trump's name off this place, seem destined to sue again over this new configuration, this new name idea. And that plaintiff, Columbus, Ohio Democrat Joyce Beatty, told me the tarp, by the way, is childish. She says it's petulant by Trump and that she's not surprised by it. But she's also challenging another decision by the Board of Trustees here, a board of Trump sympathizers. The decision Thursday to close the Kennedy Center for 2 full years for Trump's preferred renovations and restorations inside. It was an idea the board made earlier this year. That was the origins of Beatty's lawsuit. Beatty and her suit go before Judge Christopher Cooper here in Washington in the next 5 days. That's when Cooper wants to have more arguments submitted, more filings from both sides. Judge Cooper, the one who ordered the name down, also wants to know about the tarp. When's the tarp coming down? Why does the tarp have to be here? We could find out in the next few days.
The tarp.
But for now,
Tarpgate.
The Trump administration has made a priority through the Kennedy Center leadership to get his name back on the facade. No matter the politics of it, no matter the legality of it, they're trying to move forward with renaming the Kennedy Center. The Kennedy Center brought to you by Donald J. Trump.
Yep. Want to bet it stays? And it'll stay right through 28 to 32 as well, because there'll be another Republican president. So, and by then it'll just be enshrined and it will never be removed. I know you guys hate that, but let us here on Rumble give you a little bit of, you want a hug? You want a hug? Here. Come here. Come here. Come give Daddy a hug. It's okay. I know. Shh. Everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be just fine. We went through 4 years of a stolen election and a terrible, terrible last 2 years of an economy. And we're just getting things back on track. Everything is going to be okay. It's just his name. I know you want to scrub it from the world, but it's okay, sweetie. Calm down. It's like a cookie. Shh. Shh. It's all right. I know you're all minor attracted people, but it's all right. We here on Rumble, we'll give you a hug. We'll make sure you're feeling all good. All you got to do is just give Daddy a hug, okay? Everything. Eli, tell him it's going to be okay, right, bud?
Mm-hmm. I have to admit that it's probably taxpayer money that's being used to take it up, put it down, take it up, put it down. We all know how much you liberals hate wasting taxpayer money, so maybe leave it alone now.
Yeah, just leave it alone. Here's what Stephen A. Smith says about who he thinks the next president is going to be. And it's not a Democrat. Not at all. Stephen A. Smith actually thinks it's going to be Marco Rubio or J.D. Vance. And he's one of yours. Okay, let's see what he has to say.
He's sharp, he's articulate. Marco Rubio has been a longtime senator, is the Secretary of State, Director of National Security, whose credentials are pretty freaking impeccable. Both of them articulate themselves very well. In Rubio's case, he's bilingual, of Cuban descent. And that ain't gonna hurt him.
Nope.
There's hope on the
Hispanic
horizon
vote.
once Trump leaves office. On the Republican side. Say what you want about DeSantis. He's an executive. I got some issues with him. Can't wait to interview him. But I got news for you. He's an executive. And I don't hear too many people complaining about the state of Florida. And I ain't going to be no hypocrite. I moved there.
Ooh.
Rubio, his nationals, his foreign policy experience, being the Secretary of State for this country. J.D. Vance knows how to handle himself in front of a camera. He's younger. He's sharp. He's articulate. Secretary of State for this country. Marco Rubio, very articulate, has been a long-time senator.
Hold up.
Is the Secretary of State, Director of National Security.
Got to go to the second slide.
Secretary of State for this country. Very articulate, knows how to deal with combativeness. Bilingual. Got an Hispanic populace out there that respects the hell out of him. I think Rubio's the real deal.
Listen to what he says about Newsom.
I think Rubio's the real deal. I think Governor DeSantis is the real deal. These are formidable candidates that will stand in front of any Democrat believing they can eat them alive.
Yep.
Do you think Kamala Harris or AOC can deal with them? Gavin Newsom can argue against anybody. Sounds smooth as hell. Right up until the minute you look at California and its affordability issues and then all of a sudden change your mind.
Woo!
Secretary of State for this country?
Oh, don't hurt him. Stephen A. Smith, DeSantis, Rubio, Vance. Who's going to stand up to them? AOC? Kamala? He says Gavin Newsom can talk with anybody right up until the point you look at California and its affordability issues. Hey, that's one of your guys on the left. And even he knows what's coming. And when this day comes, I want you to know, everybody that's watching on the left, ready, Rumble? You can come to us and we'll give you rest. Come, my children, and we will give you rest. We'll give you peace. We'll do whatever you need. We'll hug you, bathe you, feed you, pat you on the butt, and send you on your way. Everything's going to be okay. Don't worry. It's just called the golden era. That's all. Having said that, folks, Will Johnson comes up next, and I don't want to keep him waiting. Because an angry Will Johnson is something I don't want to see. I don't even know if it's possible. But to Fins Up, to Audrey, to Kit Kat Mar, to Fireboss, B Hops, R Star, No Eva Braun, Singing, Amy, Audrey, Sherry, Elin, NL Goldie, S. Gomez. God bless you. Remember, there are right ways and there are wrong ways. But there's only one Yahweh. So stand up tall. Keep your shoulders back. Keep your chest out. Keep your head up high. Because you are a child of God, and no weapon formed against you will ever prosper. Keep your family, your friends, and your pets close. Keep a smile on your face. Keep fighting for this constitutional republic. And never, ever, ever stop offering hugs and spreading the gospel. God bless, guys. I'm going to have a birthday weekend, and I'm going to share some of the photos for you and some of the videos of Open Up Your Presents. And I will see you tomorrow. By the way, tomorrow, Patriot Pals, 10 o'clock. The Gold Crest Report, 1 o'clock. And at 5 o'clock, we have a brand new, amazing show for you. Stay tuned. We'll see you at 5 tomorrow.
The armor of God now. I wear the armor of God now. Rebirth of America. Been a long time coming, and we all learned something that we won't ever give it up. No way. Long as I'm bleeding, I'ma never stop screaming that we first in America.